There it is. Okay. So do you remember how that conversation got started? Since you're saying that like everyone was there, everyone remembers exactly how I got smoked. You would then remember how the conversation got started?
That doesn't follow.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't remember how
Well,
that
I'm
kind of
not saying I'm
started.
not saying it's like a logical entailment, dumbass.
I, w-
I don't see any relation
I
still
don't,
there.
I don't see the relation either.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
What
don't think
is
anybody
no,
interpreted
remember,
you as
here's the
thinking
relation.
it was with logical
Let me explain
entailment.
the relation. Let me explain the relation.
let's do this. Yeah,
Earlier
go ahead.
I said earlier in the chat that I didn't feel like I was being understood, right?
Yeah,
And I'm trying to support that claim, my feeling that I wasn't being understood. So then, what I felt like wasn't being understood was my original point. That's how the conversation got started. And then y'all were saying, well, no, everyone was there, everyone understood what you were saying,
wait,
blah 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 blah
that's not
blah.
true. What do you mean? Wait, what are you talking about? Okay, now okay, I do remember. That's not what you talk about. That's not what all happened. What are you talking about? I had, vaguely what happened was I had a conversation about trans issues with somebody else. It might have been that one guy, the guy, the homeless guy in New York City guy. What's his name? Shiny.
Look,
Might have been
I'll
him.
tell you what happened.
So because of that, or something related to that, I asked you because you were there, or we were talking about it, and you were in there, and then that's what started the conversation. We didn't start the conversation because you made that point.
No,
Um,
I here's what happened, right? You talked about my TikTok lives and you said, "Danny, why are you on the pro trans train?" Right? Like I don't get like, and I try to give reasons for why, I attack right people rather than left people on the trans issue, right? Remember that? And then I try to give a theory about where right people might be coming from. Okay, and I'm using that very loosely. Okay. Um and I said something like this, and this is how I got started. I said something like this. I said something like, when a person says that they're interested in having, in doing sexual stuff with, well, let's say women, okay, they have a particular subset in mind. Maybe a young woman with a vagina, but we have a specific type of woman in mind. And um, I tried to say something like that it's particular elements of the set that they're referring to. And so when you take a woman that doesn't, meet either they're too old or they don't have a vagina, then, that's just not what they're talking about. That's how it got started. And then apparently that was very stupid to say. And later on, I got very confused about what is it?
all
Okay,
right, how
the
about this? How about
differences.
this? You claim that William must have understood you, right? All right. I'm willing to be such a nice person. So you're saying we're misunderstanding. You said let's do it right now then, because I mean right now it's just he said she said, right? So I mean
Well, do you remember that? First of all, do you
there's
remember
no
that?
there's no way for either of us to actually show who's right or wrong, right? Look at all right.
Wait, do you disagree with that account?
No, I mean it sounds like it sounds roughly correct though. Again, like I said, some of the
I
details I'm
disagree
not
I'll
sure.
never
entirely.
forget
I
that because
disagree entirely. By the way, he didn't say that at all. He said the exact opposite. We are the ones who said that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not even talking about the specific things he said. I'm just talking about the general points. That's what I'm not even talking about the details. But my only point about the whatever, maybe like the way the conversation started, or whatever, or some of the stuff, whatever. Fine, that seems okay to me. Um, yeah, what was being discussed specifically? I'm happy to, like I said, if you want to defend what you said back then, right now, I'm happy to have the conversation about that. Um, right? Because we were discussing. Now, remember this very clearly. We were discussing why, and this is exactly why. eh, what does it mean to be a heterosexual, right? What does it mean to be heterosexual?
yeah,
And you were making a point about, yeah, how if you heterosexuality cannot just be about sex, because yeah, you have like you don't just like all women, right? You, that's what you said. So you respond. That argument was a
mhm.
response to what I said. So
Yeah, I'm fine with saying that I might have been confused there. I mean, I think it was I
I
felt
mean,
very confused.
wait, look. That's what we were talking about. All right. I mean, do you want to defend that or not? I'm just
That's
curious
not
because
how I initially
I don't want
started.
to do history about something that's literally impossible for us to prove. All right. By the way, the witnesses are probably, like I said, even people like. By the way, Detroit is not like.
Detroit was
pro
there, right?
affiliate. Yeah, I don't, and trust me, he was not on your side. Okay, so but
I
I
was
want
there, but I don't remember in much detail what
yeah,
happened.
it's fine. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's just forget what was there because again, nothing. There's nothing to. There's no way to prove it, right? It's just he said, she said. Okay, you're saying right now that we're still confused. We were confused about that, right? Right.
No, I'm saying
Slow. I'm saying what we're saying right now is that you were wrong back then. You're saying we're confused, right? Right now, right?
no. I'm not saying that y'all are confused.
Then I don't know what you're saying. Okay,
Well, did you not read? This is you not having reading comprehension. What did I write in the chat? Did I ever say you were confused?
you want me
Did
to
I ever
discuss
say
it?
that?
You said that we misunderstood you.
Yeah, you said you
That's not to
misunderstood.
say that you're confused.
Confused
Oh,
about
come
what
on.
you're saying. What? What? I don't.
No,
You're just being
no, no,
ridiculous. Come on, man. Just
no,
okay. I'm
no.
not even interested.
Look,
I'm not interested in this pedantry. All right, look,
I
whatever. Look,
am interested because there's a
all
difference
right,
between
fine.
saying
We misunderstood you.
Clearly.
I
there's
know
a
you're
difference between
interested.
saying I didn't feel like you understood me, right? Because that could be my fault. That could be me
That's fine.
miscommunicating or
I'm willing. I'm willing for you to clarify on this moment, right now, what you were saying. Okay,
I
let's
just clarified it.
do it properly because I did not completely understand what you were saying. So say it one more time. What are you saying?
Okay. So I was trying to give an account of what's going on when people um
We were
when
discussing
when
toward heterosexual men. Okay,
that's what happened after I made this point, the original point, right? Because when I made the original point, apparently there was something wrong with my original point,
all right,
and
go make
I
your
didn't really
original point.
understand. The original point was something like when people say that they're interested in women, sexually interested in women, right? They're not really talking about women as a whole, like the category. They're talking about a subset of the category.
Okay.
That was the original claim.
Wait. Okay, slow down.
That's
No,
not
No.
really right either.
Why did you
That's
make
not
that
right.
claim?
But this is where the whole dispute began. Is that
No,
that's
no, no, wait.
incorrect?
Yeah, this is what I'm telling you. That was my original point.
Wait, your original point is that when people say what? When when people no that people don't like all women, they like some women. Is
Right, it
that
was
your
something like that.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, fine. Wait, let's go through this slowly, okay? Why did you bring that point up?
Because I'm trying to account. I was trying to account for the sort of feeling when someone says, "Yeah, I'm interested in women," and then they present a woman, right? Whether it be a trans woman, an elderly woman, whatever, and they say, "Well, I'm not interested in that woman."
No, what does it have to do with that? Look. The whole point is
That's what I was trying. That's what I'm
no,
trying to account
you're
for.
just look. We were having a conversation again. I'm gonna okay. You have to relate it to what I was talking about because were you just talking to yourself? Because there was the whole point of the conversation was I was saying that what it means to be heterosexual means something about the sex of a woman being attracted to women, and by women I mean, a certain, this biological concept, whatever, right? I don't want to. So you said to me, you said that cannot be right because yes, because when men don't like all women, they only like a subcategory of them. So I don't know what you're talking about. What you take into account to what? Like were you just talking to yourself? Because if you're whatever you're talking about right now was so irrelevant to there's nothing to argue about.
You brought up the. I think I could be wrong about what happened, but I think someone else brought in the heterosexuality example to help me understand why my analysis of the woman thing isn't right. That's how I remembered it.
Why does that
And
even
I mean,
you're
is
not
that not how
addressing my
you
point
remember
even.
it?
Doesn't even matter. You're not addressing my point. Was that who cares? Look, I'm
Oh,
just making a
okay,
simple
so
point here. Look, I'm just
we've
making a
moved
simple point
on.
here. Look, the conversation. It's funny that I mean this is why this whole thing is a little ridiculous because you're just kind of doing this whole wiggle game, right? Because right then this whatever, but fine. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I actually would like to have this conversation now, or maybe you completely
Well, look,
change your
I'm
point.
not prepared to have the conversation because
But
I don't know
you,
if
I
you
don't. I'm
remember.
not
I don't know
prepared
if you
for
remember.
anything.
Well, look,
Okay,
okay, let me say this really fast. I don't know if you remember, but I felt so confused that I have not done the trans topic since then. I have not, and I even went to you and said, "Look, given our conversation, I have things to think about. I was probably very confused about the distinctions between, what the sense of a term or what a category is versus what it picks out. What language? My philosophy of language was lackluster, right? Y'all convinced me of that, right? And I never have done the trans topic since that day. Okay, so I'm not saying that I was right in that scenario. What I'm
You're not
saying
understood
is that
right
I
now.
didn't
You want to
feel.
debate me
All
about
I
this.
I don't want. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. What I'm saying is that I didn't feel like I was being understood.
Okay, I'm literally okay. Look, this is so funny. Okay, look. I want to have a conversation about that topic because you're trying to imply something like,
Well,
"Oh,
I'm
you
not
want
prepared
to."
to have a
No,
conversation
you
about
did. You
that
basically
topic,
said that. I said I will
right?
record every conversation with you from now on, and then you said, "Let's get VC and start recording to me." So you're basically trying to tell me because I never said that because I would never accepted this. I would have never said yes to debating about what happened that time. This is impossible. There's nothing to do. There's no way to
Wait,
vindicate it. I'm not interested in he
look.
said she
When I
said.
said yes, because when I said I felt like I wasn't being understood, y'all were like, "Of course we understood you." Or blah blah blah. Of course, this is what you said,
Obviously, we're gonna
and
say
now I'm
that, bro. And
clarifying.
he's saying there's no way to vindicate it. Like I don't. What you?
Bro,
Okay, well then, what else is there to discuss? Because y'all
oh
were
my god.
disputing that
Okay,
claim.
look,
That's
this is not complicated. Okay,
what
go ahead if you want. Oh yeah, Sophie. But
his whole point is that there's nothing to discuss in that vein. That's why he's saying he never would have accepted if he thought that that's what you meant you were going to talk about.
look,
Okay,
all I said is because my whole point of saying what I said is because obviously look, I actually just look at the quote. I said I'm gonna record everything from now on. My whole point of me saying that is because obviously I can't. There's no way for me to disprove you, right? Right. So I'm just like that's why I even said that comment. Right. So your response to me in that comment is to debate me about the topic. That makes you wait. That doesn't make any
no.
sense.
Look, I
No. Wait. Think about what I just said. Just slowly think. Actually, agree or disagree with my
Well,
comment.
slowly
First of all,
think about what I'm
in
about
my
to say.
sentence. No.
Okay,
My
only what
sentence.
about look.
Oh
Let me
God,
let me
just
let me
go,
explain
just
to you
dodge
what
it.
I'm about to say. Okay, let
No,
me tell me when you're done. Can I talk, or are you done?
you're cutting me off. But go
Okay. Look, what I thought was going to happen was I thought I was going to tell you what my original point was, which I just articulated, how the conversation started, and hopefully a light bulb would have gone off, and you would have then remembered the conversation as I remember it. But that's not what happened. So yeah, there's not much to do anymore.
Yeah, that's
Okay, look, this is ridiculous. All right, I'm gonna
you'd
go
be
through that
very
one
dumb.
sentence. All right, I'm gonna go through that one sentence, and I want you to tell me what. Okay, how you interpret this sentence. It's so interesting. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I'm saying we should. I'm gonna record every conversation from now on. Okay, so what do you think I mean when I say that?
When we have conversations, to record it.
Yeah, obviously, but implicitly, what's the point of making?
That I'm not like that. How I interpreted that is that I don't recollect things well, right? I go back on claims that I've made, right? There's just that I'm not trustworthy in the future to recount what happened.
Recollect. Okay.
Yeah, okay, you're obviously trolling.
He's
Okay,
recollect.
I mean, yeah, you're just making, you're just like trolling me. You're either trolling or you can't read.
Why
I
else
mean,
would you
you
say
you
that
would
but to
talk with
say
my
that?
reading comprehension, which the only reason I'm bringing this up is because you. But yeah, I mean, or you can't read. Like I don't know. Look, it's simple. The whole point of what I said again. I don't want to. I'm actually not interested in.
But what I'm saying is not
I'm not
crazy.
interested in going through this sentence by sentence all the way down
Dude,
because
that's
this
what
is
you're doing right now.
you're
You just
cutting me
asked me
off.
to
You're
interpret
cutting
this
me off.
exact
Hey,
sentence.
you when you told me to stop talking, I stopped talking. Okay,
Go
okay,
ahead.
thank
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir. Um, I'm not interested in doing that stuff. So look, it's simple. All right, I said that because specifically because I just I'm gonna
Thank
give
you,
so many
sir.
times. Um, my whole point is with the conversation we had, I cannot. There's nothing. There's no way. It's he said, she said, right? Right.
You're
Obviously.
repeating yourself now.
Anyways, it's he said, she said. So the whole point is, um, I view and then you in response to that told me get on, debate me basically. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm happy to have the conversation now because the one way to actually show that you're right back then without appealing to, the only way to actually do it is to defend the position you made back then and show that I misunderstood it. And right
No,
now,
no.
because
Let me
yeah,
be
but
very
you
clear
won't do
about
that.
what's happening
You won't
here.
do that.
Let me
Exactly.
let me be very clear about what happened here. That conversation, it was not with just you, it was with you, Tofi, Detroit, and what's his name? Someone help me. Gur, right? Dur, right? It
I
was
don't know
all
if there
four
was
of
there.
y'all.
I don't
All
remember if there
four
was.
of y'all were
He was.
convinced that I was confused, right? And I tried really hard to understand what was going on. I got overwhelmed at some point in the conversation to where I said, "Look, guys, I'm pretty sure I'm confused. I don't understand what y'all are saying. And eventually toward the end of the conversation, I asked certain people, I'm not going to say who, in that conversation to help me understand the distinction between picking out, extension, all this philosophy language stuff in which they didn't feel like it was worth doing, right? So there wasn't a lot of effort to help me understand exactly
Was he
the
Troyer?
dialectic at that point of the conversation, right? Um, and and then after the conversation, I actually messaged you. I actually messaged you Quick, and I said, look, because of that conversation, I will not debate the trans topic on my live, and I have not done so since because a lot of this stuff I'm still thinking about right now. There's certain things like I'm not anti-trans. I'm very pro-trans still, and I think I agree with Durr. A lot of it is just semantic bullshit, right?
Durr, what are you? It's literally me. Okay, whatever. Durr. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Fucking bullshit that you even said that. Actually, literally, I'm the one who pushed this idea. Whatever. Fuck this shit. Okay.
Well, I remember Durr, but because I'm sorry, you're really hard to track. Believe it or not, Quick. When you talk, especially and then you when I say that, you then try to
Look,
dumb
man,
it down
you
and
really
make me
want to do
sound.
this? Okay, I don't want to be mean. You really do this. Okay, like you literally.
I'm not the only one that thinks this.
I don't care about that. But the whole funny thing is,
Well,
you
it seems like
steal
you
my
do.
thunder.
You
You
interrupted
steal
me
my
for it.
thunder. You steal my thunder, and then you go and you say, "Oh, you know."
Okay, if it
Yeah.
was you, I apologize. I just remember Durr
No,
doing
it's not
it. The
even
whole
that.
time.
Well, I have your videos on the Trinity, bro. Literally, 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 my shit. Literally, that's literally recorded. That's my
No, I
only.
didn't get. I got that from Jake, the Muslim metaphysician. All of those
Jake the
arguments
Muslim
I
in the
didn't get.
position. That conversation we had is recorded. Was before that guy got popular.
Yes, I don't.
Wait, how
How
did
do
you
you
get
think
to
I
him
talk?
when I said that point before he ever we can check. You
You
want to see when the
never
guy got
talked
famous? He
about.
got famous like a year and a half ago. That video was
You
before that.
never mentioned. You never mentioned to me counting by identity versus counting by division. That principle. You never articulated that principle.
Counting by identity versus. I don't even know what you mean by counting by division. I don't know what you're talking
That's
about. Look,
exactly how I run the argument against the Trinity. Everybody knows that I use counting by identity, and I give a principle.
I don't know. Okay, this is a meme. Look,
I didn't get that from you.
the whole argument. Okay, you're bro. It's recorded. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to talk about this. Okay.
Yeah, look, it's recorded. I have very good memory about when I learned things. Right.
You
I did
don't
not learn
remember. You just
counting.
recorded. You want me to play it? Like, you want me to go
You're
through
gonna
it?
you're
Like,
gonna
I know
play.
what I said. I know the argument, so I don't know what you're talking about. Look,
Well, look. I'm just saying
do
that
you
the
want me
way I
to?
present this.
All right, I'm
You can
okay.
look.
I can't
We
do
can
this
do that in a
now, but
second. But
I'm willing to find your videos on the Trinity and then go through the goddamn recording and fucking do a comparison if you really like, because I know for a fact you're bullshitting me right now. All right.
Okay. Well,
So,
in the recording, you're
but
gonna find. Are
you're gonna
you
find me
in the?
saying exactly the classical logical problem of Trinity shit. All right, which unless you're reading Dale Tuggy articles, all right, nobody was really bringing that up back then, okay? And even he really wasn't bringing that up back then, okay? So trust me, and you know what's funny is so yeah, I don't
Okay.
know what you're
If I
talking about.
tell me if I'm misremembering here, but Tofi I think formalized that argument,
No,
right?
that I formalized it. Fuck you.
No,
Okay.
Quick and I let's
It was Timber technically,
Quick and I stumbled
Okay.
through formalizing it, and then Timber produced a much shorter argument. It was much better.
That argument,
It's all
I
bullshit.
don't.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Look, I actually don't even agree with that sort of, but whatever. Whatever. Let's just say there was.
I
Whatever.
distinctly remember Timber literally coming in and saying, "Couldn't you just do this?" and like laugh.
Yeah. I know. There was whatever.
so I could have done that too, but it is what it is.
Whatever. It's not. Who cares about formalizing? It takes like 2 seconds. Who cares? And
Yeah, but
whatever.
when I look at formalization, that's not the argument I typically run on my lives.
All right, give me the argument you run in your lives. Do it right now, because do it right now.
Okay. First of all, the most common form of the argument that I give is I presuppose that this is a predication. I think, and I could be, please correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen your argument in a while, the formalized version, but I don't really think it's formalized in a way. Doesn't it assume there is of identity?
What? Like? Oh, wait. So the question is, do you take God to be a singular term, or do you take it as a predicate? That's the whole thing.
There's two kind of quote unquote logical problems, right? One is concerning just the coherence of supposing that these are each God but not identical with each other, and the other one is the sort of counting problem where there's supposed to be one God, but there's three things which are God or something like
Yeah,
that.
I discussed the counting problem.
And I think Yeah, you mostly do the second one where it seems like they're committed to polytheism.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
that's the one we
exactly.
do too. That's the one we do too. That's the same argument.
No, I don't remember you.
Yes, it is. It's the
think
same fucking argument. What are you talking about? What,
Related, but the one that we're thinking of that was formalized is definitely the first sort.
no, there's no
Thank
difference
you,
between the
thank
two.
you.
All right, wait. No, there's no difference between the two. What do you mean, Detroit? Okay, now I have to get into the argument about
Related.
this. What's it? No, I don't see the difference.
I'm telling you where I got the counting problem. I got it
Wait,
from Bo
wait, wait,
Branson
wait,
and
wait, wait, wait. Now I have to get into this tangent. What are you talking about, Detroit?
They're related, but the argument that was formalized, and as I recall it, is just bringing up this problem that like, okay, Jesus is God, the Father is God. Jesus is not the Father, blah, 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 something like that. There's precisely one God. I forget exactly how
The whole
it's.
point, implicit in
Yeah.
the argument is that if it's just it is counting. It's saying something like if there's only, it's just flipped. I don't see the difference. It's saying
It's
that if
related.
there's, I just don't see how they're identical.
look, if the argument is identical to mine,
We have to get into this now because I don't know why you.
well,
Like,
you're the one. Well, I
well,
think
I'm
I
talking
brought.
to
I don't know
Troy
who.
now. Slow down, buddy. I don't the AB conversation.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, looks like you're the one that slowed down because that needs to slow down
No,
because you're not understanding the
I'm
distinction
talking
between
to
what
Detroit.
I've
You're
done and
just
what you
interrupting for
can't.
no reason. I'm not interested in your tangent. Okay, Detroit. I don't
It's
see how.
not.
Oh my
Okay,
God! You
Detroit
just
agrees
will not
with me
refuse
as
to let me have
well.
this conversation.
Okay.
Saying that they're related because you can, you could take sort of the same premises and say like, look, if you're committed to this, that Jesus is God, and you're committed to this, that the Father is God, and you're committed to this, that Jesus is not the Father, then you're committed to there being at least two things which are God. And that's a sort of counting problem. And that's sort of using the same premises, just to sort of state in a different way
But wait,
from the original, the
oh,
same argument.
yeah. I mean, the whole point. That's a contradiction, right? That's the whole point. You could put it that way, where that's a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, implicitly. It's the same. I don't get it. The way we're doing it, actually, at the end of the argument, I mean, even though it's so weird, like the conclusion, there's a contradiction, right? And actually, some guy made a pedantic point about this, right? That's exactly the way we put it. We say something like, if A is a god, B is a god, A, right? But if they're both one god, basically the contradiction is they're both one god, right? So they should be identical to each other, but then they're different, right?
Yeah, that's not the argument I run.
It's related. So it's all basically the same in a way because like
I literally don't
if
see the difference. I mean, unless like you're making like a
well,
really technical point about like the wording is slightly
I
different.
guess it's sort of the emphasis because like what Danny's pushing in his argument is that look, here's your commitments, they entail polytheism, and that's
But
supposed
that
to
is
be
the point
just
I'm
like
making my argument
that's what,
too.
Well, it only is
no,
true in an argument if they give certain responses.
well, but that's
No,
true in both cases, right? Because I
It's
mean,
just
you
the
could
same. I don't see the difference. I just don't see the difference.
I guess.
Well, I don't
well,
get it.
look,
No, okay, fine. You want to get into it, fine.
well, look. The point is that I learned it. Let's just grant that you gave the exact form of the argument. It's like the way Bo Branson and Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, presents it. I didn't understand it at the time. That's true. I didn't understand that when you discussed it with me all those years ago. Okay, and so I didn't take it. The point is, I didn't get it from you. I went on YouTube, heard Jake and Bo Branson talk about it, and got very interested. I read a little bit of Branson's dissertation. Okay, he sent me an unpublished manuscript articulating the entire thing, and I got Detroit to help me understand some of those details. And I then came up with something with a form of the problem that used the sense reference distinction.
It's reference.
That I sent to
Well, it's irrelevant. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Okay,
the
if
point
you're
is that I
doing
didn't
that,
get it from you. The point is I didn't get it from you.
you did get it from me. You fucking lying
I
dog. I
did
know
not.
you did. No fucking
This
way.
is
There's no chance.
look. I'm not even. I'm granting that you gave the same shit that Branson and others give, but I doubt. I mean, I don't. I'm granting that. Obviously, that's not fucking true because you don't know what the fuck Branson's position is, right?
I know he's stupid monarchy. You actually don't know how much I
That's
know
not
about this
his.
shit.
That's not his solution to the counting problem, dumbass.
Jeez, my solution to the count. What do you mean? I don't know my
You
solution to the
don't
counting
understand
problem.
what you're talking about right now.
What are you talking about? He's some kind of monarchical Trinitarian.
You don't understand. Let me just teach you. Branson has basically he thinks there are two forms of the LPT, right? He thinks there's something called the identification problem and the counting problem. Monarchical Trinitarianism is supposed to be a solution for the identification problem, and he says explicitly that it's not a solution to the counting problem. He uses a different counting principle called counting by division for solving the counting problem. So what? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
No, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
I've done the work. You have not. So it's so infuriating.
This is too ironic. Okay, look.
Do you know what
buddy,
you're talking about right now?
calm down, buddy. Let me explain to you. Okay.
You know, but hey, you can't. I hope this is recorded now, right? Do you know Branson's position? Or were you just posing as if you
So,
did?
like I said, I know his monarchical.
Yeah, you're dodging right now.
Are you gonna let me
Quit-
talk? So are you gonna let me talk? Hey, I know you're
Answer the
scared. I know
question
you're
directly.
scared. I know you're scared. So are you gonna let me talk? You asked the question. All right. So
Go ahead.
okay, good. I don't know why you bring up Bro Branson. I don't know what it has to do with anything. Okay. Quiz.
This
Okay.
is where I get the
wait,
argument.
wait. Let me finish my fucking point. Are you gonna let me talk? Hey, wait. Are you gonna let me talk or not? Answer that first, or else there's no point in having a conversation. So what does Bo
You
Branson
asked the
do?
question.
Shit.
I've answered it really
No,
fast.
motherfucker. Okay, I'm gonna answer two things. One, I know Bo Branson's position about monarchical Trinitarianism. All right. So I'm not saying I'm the world's fucking expert on Bo Branson. All right. Second of all, knowing why you quizzing me, Bo Branson? What does that prove about anything?
Because that's where I got the argument from. You're telling me I got it from you when you don't even know the
Wait,
position.
that doesn't prove that, you dumbass. You're just quizzing me about some guy you read some esoteric shit about. Okay, what?
What,
I start quizzing you about Dale Tuggy. Oh, you don't know anything about the Trinity because let me start asking you questions. What's Dale Tuggy's interpretation of the biblical understanding of the Trinity? What's your point? Like, come on,
Here's
bro.
the point. Here's the point. You're
No, there's
claiming
no
that I
point. You're
got
just
this.
quizzing me because you think you know something that I don't know. Okay, congratulations.
You want me to answer your question?
You're so happy about that. You're so happy about
Okay,
that.
let me know when I can answer your
Okay.
question. Can I answer your question now? Right,
Go
why did I
ahead,
bring up
buddy.
Branson? Here's why. You're claiming that I got my shit from the Trinity, my arguments against the Trinity, from you. That's false. I got it from Branson and Jake.
Look,
Because
this is
it's
all. Look, I'm
my
not.
argument's not
I mean,
fair.
I still believe it's for me because it's just coincidence. You know,
You
after
understand the argument that Branson was giving.
that doesn't disprove my point.
So if you don't understand the arguments, how could I get them from you?
But you're making the assumption that the argument is somehow fundamentally different than what I said.
Yes, and to prove that, you thought that the solution to the county problem, is according to Branson, is by appealing to monarchical
I
Trinitarianism.
will ask you right now, what's the difference between the two? Because I'm convinced there's the way you guys are talking about it, there's basically no difference.
I'll educate you. Free education, right? So the difference is that the identification problem is what the term picks out when people say stuff like "I prayed to God today," or when the Bible says, the term God in the New Testament. What does that pick out? Does it pick out the Trinity? Does it pick out a particular person? So there's that.
This
The
is the logical
semantic
problem with the Trinity. That's just not the logical problem of the Trinity.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
know.
even, it's not even really a problem. It's just a question.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you trolling me? Like, you're
I'm
pissing me
using
off.
Branson's words. I'm using Branson's words.
I
He
don't give a
calls
fuck
it.
about Branson, all right? You know what?
Well,
I don't care about one
look-
idiosyncratic idiot, all right? So don't give a fuck about him, all right? Let me
The point
explain
is,
to
I'm
you.
getting the information. I'm getting this information from him and not you.
Okay, let me explain why you're just being told. I already knew it. Now that you actually explained the difference, I don't even. You're just being this completely dishonest piece of shit, or at least he is. I don't know, whoever the fuck this is. All right,
How am I
look,
being dishonest?
motherfucker. All right, if that's what first of all, that's not even what Detroit was saying too. But if that's the fucking problem, that's nothing to do with my problem. I already told you my problem is you want to call it the counting problem. That's been my fucking argument. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, this has
My
nothing to do with the
argument
Detroit.
is, buddy, for the millionth time, my argument. All right, and I actually, I don't know what you mean that he doesn't solve. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what he said. So I actually want to argue about Bro Branson. I don't want to talk about Bro Branson because I don't know. I'm not gonna say I've read anything more than I just know he's a monarchical Trinitarian. I'm not gonna get into his beliefs because I don't know who gives a shit about this guy. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that with him.
Point is, I got the information from him, not you.
At least in the U.S. more than Luffy.
Anyway, whatever.
Who unmuted?
Oh, nice.
So I don't know why you're like I said, whatever weirdo. Look, it's
It was
simple.
to your point that I'm getting arguments from you. I got my arguments from you. I just didn't. I'm sorry. That's the end of the day. The end of the story.
And you proved that how?
Well, first of all, I can appeal to Detroyer because Detroyer knows that I corresponded with Branson and I've gathered all this information from Branson and Jake. Okay, you can ask Jake, the Muslim metaphysician. I literally went to his YouTube channel, learned how to articulate a form or of the
Could you
problem.
give me your
Right?
argument? I want you to give me your argument. I want to actually
Okay.
just
Here's
give me your
the.
fucking argument because I want to prove to you it's my fucking argument. Go ahead. That I gave before
Okay.
those
So
motherfuckers did.
okay. So something like this, right? This is the argument I typically run on my lives. Okay, if A and B are identical, if you predicate X of them, you count one X. If A and B are distinct, and you predicate X of them, there are two X's, right? Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit are each God in the same sense of by the is of predication. So, given counting by identity is the name of the principle, you get three gods. That is pretty much what I say every time
Wait, slow on.
a
That
Trinity.
cannot just be the argument. Wait. Repeat that argument one more time. Because if that's your argument, then I have an easy response. So you need to add another premise. So give me your argument one more time because I want to make sure I didn't mishear it. Go ahead, give me your argument one more time.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
but first of all, before I do, is that the kind of argument you run? Do you recognize that argument when you give
Right now, the argument you
your?
gave is terrible. So you need to if you add one more premise, it's exactly my argument. So I want to know if you're going to add that premise or not. So give me your argument. Give me your argument one more time. So either your argument is just wrong, or you have to add this premise. So I want to hear your argument one more
Okay,
time. If I heard it correctly, if I misheard it, then
I'm
let me
actually okay. I'm
let me
going to
just
say it
fucking
again, but
hear your argument one more time.
fine. I'm going to say it again, but just I want to add this in. I'm fine with saying that the argument is flawed. That just means that if you're right and I got it from you, you have a flawed argument, right? So, anyways, it's going to be something like counting by identity is a stipulated, right? If A and B are distinct, right, and you predicate X of them, you got two X's. If A and B are identical and you predicate X of them, there's one X, right? So Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit are each God in by predication. Okay,
Mhm.
so given the counting principle, counting by identity, you have three gods.
You need one other premise.
I'm not so sure what premise I'm
So
missing.
you're even by your own argument, the only way this works is if they're distinct, right? Look, obviously, simple example. Okay, what's your
Oh, okay, yeah, I
your
didn't,
name's
yeah, I didn't see
no,
what you're
wait,
saying.
don't interrupt me now because I'm going to explain to you why your argument is just not correct unless you add a premise. Okay, simple point. What's another name for Danny? I don't know. Do you have a nickname?
No, you're right. I
No,
missed
no,
the
no. Do
premise
you have
that
a
they're
nickname? Do
distinct.
you have a nickname? No, I'm not going to say you're right now. You give me. I'm going to explain it, and then you get to say that, and then you get to admit that I'm right. So give me your name. Give me another name you have. Do you have another nickname? People call you
Yeah, just call Mr. Phil Talk, whatever.
what?
Mr. Phil Talk.
Mr. Phil Talk. Okay. Danny is I don't know. Let's predicate him. He's a human. Mr. Phil Talk is the human. Does it follow therefore? But there's two distinct entities, Danny and Mr. Phil Talk.
No, they need
No,
to be
because you need
distinct.
to have the premise that Danny and Mr. Phil Talk are distinct. They're distinct, right? Which is in my premise. But actually, I just rather than asserting it the way you do, I actually use something. I use Leibniz law to make that point explicit. So it's just so literally, it's the same fucking argument. You lying dog. Fuck you.
Really? That's not the argument. You don't.
Say that.
It.
You don't
That's
ever
not the
you're gonna
argument.
fucking Bruce Branson to me. No. I know. I fucking know.
I've never heard you give counting by identity. I've never heard you express that principle ever.
Hey, Detroit, can you shut the fuck up?
You're claiming that you've never heard him talk about Leibniz law?
No, the counting principle, counting by identity. I didn't get that from Quick.
Buddy, what do you mean counting by look?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what you're saying. Look, I say explicitly in the argument, it's form. All this is formalized. If you, I'll show you. So when you say is of predication, that's in the premise of the argument because I have a premise that says, and you know, first order logic, there's singular terms. There's a way to formalize the. There's two ways to form. So what's funny is I thought you were talking about there's two ways to formalize the argument. One is whether God's a name or God's a predicate, right? Which is maybe what you're talking about. But in the argument that I usually post, I use the one where God is a predicate exactly. So you could see it's X for all X. If X is G, and if Y is G, so I formalize what my first premise is a formal definition of monotheism. Well, what is monotheism? It's the claim that there is one God. So that's about counting. So the problem is you cannot understand, like you cannot go two steps beyond like the argument to like compare the two. if my argument's using the premise that there's one God, then my argument's not counting.
To be fair, it's not strictly speaking monotheism. Just to be pedantic, you would have to add the additional clause that there exists such.
Well, no, I didn't give the full conditional, but whatever. Yeah, obviously.
It just says that there's at most one God.
Look,
Okay, whatever.
okay. Let me
The
just.
point is,
I don't think that.
my premise of my argument. Okay, look, if a premise of my argument is that there is one God, then I'm implicitly the whole argument's about counting, about how many gods there are. Because the argument's showing that look, if you believe there's one God and you believe these three things are God, right, and they're distinct, which is Leibniz law, then you have a contradiction. Because in one sense, because they can't. There's going to be three, but three. The whole. That's the whole. That's the whole argument. That's literally the whole fucking argument. You just the whole point is I actually explicitly explain all the fucking premises, right? So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, this is.
Branson.
There are two things. Oh my gosh! Tell me when you're done. Are you done? Okay, so two things. First off, you're saying that your argument included. Yeah, well, I hope this is recorded. First of all, you said your argument includes Leibniz's law.
It doesn't necessarily. It can be explicit or implicit. But
does it or doesn't? Does it have Leibniz's law?
It's explicit. I don't know. It depends on the.
It doesn't. Why did you bring it up?
I said something. Oh, did you hear what I said or not?
Is that included in your argument? Yes or no? Because
I'll just say yes. I'll just say yes. Whatever.
Oh, right. That's not in my argument. So it's just distinct. Number two. Okay.
No,
number two.
Oh, you're so lost. All right, I'm gonna explain why you're completely lost.
Go ahead and explain.
That's a ridiculous claim. I already explained why. Okay, you have a premise that says, right? You have a premise, right, that says that they're distinct, right?
Yeah.
Okay, which you actually didn't state it. So I had to. First of all, you actually didn't have that. I had to explain to you. You have to have that premise.
Okay. Yeah, I have it written in a document if you want.
Yeah, but I'm doing this all from memory, and I haven't done this shit in forever. All right, so don't talk about doing a document.
Yeah, but when you see, look,
nobody, no excuses, no excuses.
When I offer the argument,
and I never,
1 second,
you literally giving your own argument.
When I offer the argument online, right, it's just pretty implicit that Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit are distinctive. I'm talking to a Trinitarian, so it was a habit, right? But I've written the argument online. I have it written. I wrote it myself.
I don't agree with that. I actually think it's very important. I don't agree with that at all.
No, it's implicit in the. It's not implicit from the premises that I gave. It's like when you're talking to a Trinitarian.
Actually, I totally disagree with you because first of all, that's a side issue. If you talk to 10 Trinitarians, you get 10 different answers. If you talk to 10 Trinitarians, you get 10 different answers. So you have to. Okay, I'm not going to side issue. It's not like in conversation you can assume that I don't agree with that all. One, but second of all, okay, you have that premise. I'm gonna get to the main point. You have the premise that they're distinct, right? So all I do is I just I actually give an explanation, given their own beliefs, why they do that, right? Which is I don't have. That's why I said sometimes it's implicit, sometimes it's explicit. Sometimes I just say they're distinct too. I just say they're different, right? I don't have. Sometimes I don't have that additional premise of Leibniz law, but I have the option. But if they ask, well, why are they distinct, right? Sometimes they might ask that, right? So I don't know what you would say. But the Nicene Creed is what I would appeal to, right? So I would in Leibniz law, right? I would say, look, well, the Trinity just means what the Nicene Creed at minimum, right? There might be more stuff added to it, but if you're not talking about that, I don't know what you're talking about, right? I mean, that's literally what it was. Okay, in the Nicene Creed, it says the Father begets the Son, but the Son does not beget the Father, right? Right. Eternal procession occurs. All right. So you can predicate things that are true about the Father, but are not true about the Son, and vice versa. So by Leibniz law, distinct. So that's the only reason why I have it. So it's just all I did is I added a supplementary. I just added like an extra reasoning for one of the premises you have. But in normal conversation, depending on who I'm talking to,
all you did was add a premise.
Okay. Because you said Leibniz law means our arguments. No, it's the same fucking argument. I just actually.
Okay. Well, how about this? I've actually I have it written down. Argument. Oh my gosh, I have it written down. Okay, you have your argument written down. Let's post them.
I'm posting it right now.
In chat right now.
I'll post it right. Well,
I'll post the written version of mine.
Let me find it.
I posted it in the side chat.
You did post it. Post it in general.
Mine. Okay, I'll post it in general as well.
I have it. Let me pull it up. Mine needs to be pulled up. 1 second. And Datoria's read this, so he knows I'm not changing anything.
So yeah, see this one we don't explicitly see. This one we just say they're distinct. See?
Yeah, it's 3. We just say.
Give me a second.
See, that's why I said sometimes it's implicit, sometimes explicit. But if somebody asks for why premise 3 is true, I appeal to Leibniz law. So exactly, and there's certain versions of it where I formalized it where I've used Leibniz law.
1 second, I'm using Chinese internet. Give me a second. All the VPNs and shit is taking time, but I'm not convinced. I don't think this is going to convince people that we use the same argument. But even if you're right, that doesn't mean I got the argument from you.
Look, buddy, we have a recording. All right, it's just a coincidence that you love this argument right after I had to give you. You should listen to that conversation. Actually, probably better than listening to Bo Branson or Jake the other fucking guy, the Muslim metaphysician, whatever. All right, because you want to actually understand it. You want to really get it. All right, I'm giving you free lessons, buddy. All right.
So it looks like I gave the lessons here. You didn't understand Branson's position on how the
I don't give a shit about him. I'm talking about the actual
Well, I'm just
argument.
talking about lessons, right? It looks like
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
the
talking
one
about
giving
lessons. I'm giving you a real lesson. No, I'm not interested. Look, I'm not interested in lessons on esoteric basket weaving. Yeah, you might be an expert on
We're
that.
talking about the Trinity. That's the topic at
Esoteric
hand.
basket weaving. I'm
I
not
feel the
interested in
Branson
that.
is why I didn't.
I'm
I
really
feel
not
the
interested
source
in esoteric
of my
basket
information,
weaving.
not you.
That's fine that you.
I-
I know you're making that claim.
I'm not
I know
doing
you're
my
making that claim, but it's also tangential to what we're just talking about right now. I'm waiting for you to post it.
Look, my internet is very slow. Let me go on my. I tried on my computer. I'm gonna have to go on my. On my. Okay, I have it here. Okay, this is the. This is what I posted 2 forms of it actually. Let me post both. Okay.
These are predication bros. And you know what's
The
funny?
second
You
one
know
is
we
not.
contains it because no one's gonna write all those logical symbols so quickly.
Okay, so everyone can be the judge of whether. Okay, so it's in. I'm in. Is it? Do I just put it in the?
Just put
What
it in
chat do I
general,
put
buddy.
this in?
Just put it in general.
Okay, so here's the. Not in the chat. The debate
Wait,
VC chat.
I put it there. Put it where. Just put it. I mean, I would
Okay, I
put it. I
found
like
general.
to
Okay,
better. But
so here's the argument that I made. I made 2 versions of it. There it is.
can you? Okay. Oh, you posted in VC chat.
Mhm.
Post it also in general.
Okay,
It is in general.
it is in general, and I'll put
Okay.
it. I'll put it in both,
No, that's
and
fine. Okay, see.
people can judge for themselves about whether
You
I
don't need.
got
You don't
this
need. I
argument.
mean, I don't know why you had the Holy Spirit. Okay, look. You say. Okay, let's go through this. Okay. Your premise 7 is my premise 1. Okay, let's go with that. My premise 4 is your premise 1 and premise 2. Okay. And then what you do is here's the problem is the way you put it is not formalized. So that's why it's gonna be a little tricky to actually properly make the proper comparison. But then when you do the counting shit, that's the premise. That's where you infer these couple steps. You go something like this. You go if A does not equal B and A is C and B is C, there are 2 C's, right? So you're saying basically that's equivalent to saying what's it called? That's equivalent to saying premise 3, because premise 3 is saying that Jesus and the Father is not identical. That's equivalent to saying there's two things, right? So what I'm saying is, so premise 3 is saying there's 2 things. The Jesus and the Father are distinct. So I mean, basically by distinctness, it's just like I said, it's almost verbal. It's like by definition,
Look,
of
I just let
distinct.
I posted mine. I posted this as evidence
Buddy,
that I did
I'm
not get.
going through it because okay. So
Look, you
I'm
can
just
probably
and I'm
condense it
going through the reasoning because
where
you're
it has a
saying
lot
that
of
they're not the.
connotations.
I don't know. I mean, are you disagreeing with me? What I know what you're saying. I don't know why you're interrupting me.
Let me just say this before you keep on blabbering, right? Like the point is
Bro,
that
this is the whole point.
the Quick argued or tried to claim rather that I stole his argument, that I got all of my information from
Yeah,
him,
I need to
right?
steal.
I posted these screenshots as evidence that I didn't. I also cite Detroyer as evidence because I went directly to Branson. I also cite Jake the Muslim metaphysician. Anyone can talk to him, right, and say that his videos and his personal correspondence has helped me develop my arguments against the Trinity. Okay, and if that's the evidence on the table, Quick is citing a conversation that happened about a year prior to when I started running this sort of argument as evidence that I got all this from him. Make your own decision. I'm not going to defend
So is the
this
argument
anymore.
identical to my argument or what? You denying that or just accepting that now?
Just
Let's start with
not
that.
the way I present it, right? You might be able to condense it to something where it has a lot of
Well, I
overlapping
want
features.
to know, obviously, they're not phrased the same. Okay. At what point, where is the fundamental difference in principle between the two arguments?
You're missing the point. The point is these
Oh my God.
screenshots. Even if I get
Are they
the
the
point
same
is,
argument or
what
not?
is the?
Holy shit.
It doesn't matter if they are or not.
No, wait, you said
Right?
they weren't at one point. So I want you to at
I
least
don't think
admit
they. Look,
Well,
in
this is
terms of the way
recorded.
I
We can go
present,
back on that. So you said at one
the way
you-
I articulate the argument, right? I don't think to myself that this was Quick's argument, okay? Right? Because I present it very differently. Now you may
No,
be
you
able
were
to
implying
condense to
something
what
about,
I said.
oh, there's a counting premise and you don't count and blah 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 and all this shit about counting and no, you're
You don't
proving a different
mention
argument.
you don't mention
It's the
counting
same
by
argument.
absolute identity.
It's the same.
Well, okay, I'm
Oh my
not.
God.
I think it's obvious that I didn't get this from you, right? If
I'm
you
not
are
even
so
discussing that right
desperate,
now. Please answer the small conversation we're having so we can get to the bigger conversation. So I need you to admit
no, the
small
bigger
points.
conversation is pretty much done, right?
No,
No
the
one
bigger
actually. Does
conversation is not
anybody
done until
here?
we answer this.
Does
Oh, you're
anybody?
so
Does
why are you avoiding
anybody
the smaller
believe?
conversation?
Does anybody?
Oh,
I
it's so
look. We presented
funny.
our evidence. We presented our evidence. Does anybody really think I got all of my information about attacking the dirty from this guy? Right? Like,
Literally the
does
same
anybody actually think
fucking
that?
argument. Literally the same fucking argument, and he will not. He needs to admit it right now, or show me where they're
I
actually
look. I'm
disputing.
not even. I presented the
This-
evidence. I don't think
No,
anyone
that's not
except
okay.
maybe
So you're not gonna
Sophie.
answer. So you just dodge it. Yeah, exactly. Of course, that's what it's gonna happen, right? Yeah, tell me again that. Oh, it's not the same argument. Say that again one more time, all right? The thing is, again, as
Look,
always, the thing you're hanging on, all right, is of course the thing that's actually hard to prove, which is the thing about Bo Branson. I mean, look, at the end of the day, even this is speculative, and I mean, I knew this from the, which is, I mean, I can't really prove it right at the end of the day, right? Because you could just go, oh no, I got it from all these people. Look, what I can only tell is, I can at least say this much, which there's a fame fucking. I don't see the difference in the arguments. I just want you to answer that question or not. Are they the same or not? You deny it at one point, you deny it at one point. For the love
it's
of God
definitely not
Almighty,
the same. It's definitely not the same articulation. Whether or not
no one's
my
talking about
premises,
this
my words, excuse me,
articulation. Oh
it's
my
definitely.
God,
Look,
you need
the
to answer the
point is
question.
that even if it is the same, in some, if you condense everything that you say down to, you could probably get all of my premises from your premises or vice versa. Even if you can do that, right? It doesn't substantiate the main claim that I got this information from
It is
you. I did not
evidence.
get this information
What do you
from
mean by substantiate? It's evidence. Look, at the end of the day, it's hard for me to prove it. Yeah, obviously, but it is evidence.
But no one but Tofi at best thinks that I got any of my information
Oh
from
my.
you.
Okay, look, I don't know why. Look, we're having this conversation right now. I don't know why you're appealing to the people. Look, I'm
Because
saying. Wait, slow down, slow
I
down.
think you
This
have
is
your
not an
head, you're
excuse
buried in the sand.
for you to interrupt me. My God, let me make the point. This is evidence to substantiate my claim. All right, this is evidence for
Okay,
it.
I can
Right?
grant that it's evidence. I can
Okay,
grant that
so
it's
calm the
evidence.
fuck down. All right. Now, it seems like you know what the fact that you refuse to answer at this point just means you basically did accept it, that they are basically the same fucking argument. So I'm happy we agree on that.
But that's
All
not
right.
what the claim is. That's not the claim
That's
on
not
the
what the
table.
claim. That was one of the claims. What do you mean? That's
The
not the
main
claim. That
claim
was
of
one of the
the
claims.
main claim. You see, you have like short term memory loss. The main claim of the table is whether I got my info,
I
my
didn't say. I'm
arguments
not
from
denying
you.
that. Look, the main claim. My whole at the end, they already said this. I'm going to stand this by this because I can't actually do. And that's why this was not supposed to be a big conversation. I actually thought this was kind of like it was going to be a side point, which is that obviously I can't really prove the main claim because I like what do you want me to do? Right?
You don't. What do you
You're
think about the
claiming
evidence I
shit. I have
presented?
no way of evidence. I don't know your personal life to that level to prove that
Well,
point.
no,
Okay.
no. I didn't like. I offered specific bits and pieces. Number one, Detroyer is evidence. His testimony is that I worked really hard to understand Bo Branson. Right. I got a lot of information from him. He knows that. I've emailed Branson. Right. I've
There's
sent
no evidence at
Detroyer.
all.
You don't think that's evidence that I
No,
got
because
my
there's a
information
simple. I
from
can
him?
come up with an obvious story for what happened. All right, and I'm not interested. Obviously, what could have
I don't
happened
know
is
how to. I don't.
okay.
You
Oh
sound
no,
crazy, man.
now you're gonna interrupt me. Now you're gonna okay. Here, what happened obviously is you heard the argument from me, right? This is when you were sort of religious, all right? You saw that it was a decent. It was actually pretty good, right? You know there was it's a decent argument, all right?
No,
Maybe
no.
let me finish. This is not an excuse.
There's evidence against
I'm
that.
coming up with what's called a hypothesis. So let me finish the hypothesis, and then you can, because you're
Okay,
citing Bo
go ahead.
Branson, right? So this is in response to the claim that that's somehow evidence. It's actually not evidence at all, because it's very simple. You heard the argument from me. You want to study the argument better, right? Obviously, I haven't written. I'm not the guy writing books on this shit. All right. So you go and you look into it, and you see maybe you find out this person, Bo Branson, and you say, okay, this guy is written on this topic. I want to understand this topic better. I want to learn this topic better, and so you learn it from him. You learn a lot of the stuff from him. The point is, you still got the basic idea from me. You got that. That's that was what I was saying. Okay, that was my main point. But like I said, I didn't really want to defend that point because I think, like I said, it's all speculative. All right.
Well, I think this is really good. I think you're right. This is a side issue, but this really shows that you're like you're kind of insane, right? But the point is that
I'm the insane guy.
after that discussion with let me the point is that after that discussion with me, you and Tofi, and again, Detroyer is my witness. I called Detroyer right after. Okay. Now, I don't know, Detroyer, can I appeal to you? Do you remember that? You don't have to remember the details, but do you remember after that horrible discussion with Tofi, me, and Quick, where, it eventually, Tofi ended up banning me on all of the servers? Do you remember that I talked to you? And if you do, if you remember that conversation, I said, Detroyer, I really think that you can make sense of the Trinity if all you give me is the existence of soul, whatever that is. Okay? I was not moved by any of what you're. Now, that was kind of rational on my part, to be fair. But I was not moved by any of what you said, right? Because I went to Detroit right after the
Yeah, you're
conversation.
totally right
and saying,
about that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you made the point. At the moment, maybe, like I said, there's like the whole this. Yeah, at the moment, I don't know what you're doing your whole other phase, and then once you got full atheist, you knew that was a good argument. That's what I'm trying to say from the whole beginning, right? You knew that I gave that.
At
But
that
again,
point, I
I'm just giving
barely
you a
could
plausible
recall.
story. I'm just look. Okay. Look, you cited this all this shit. There's a very plausible story, which is the argument you gave is very similar to the argument I gave. Okay, there was a very maybe somewhat
I'm not going to deny that.
okay, okay, and then okay. So and we had a very large conversation, that was recorded as well known about this topic where basically I go over every single thing about this whole issue. Okay, but at that time you were still whatever, I don't know, God believer. Um, and then later on you got into your whole whatever other phase, atheist phase. All right, this is the story. This is how I know this is actually happening because I'm just speculating because I've been saying this at this point. I'm mostly kidding. Not completely because it is the fucking same argument. Um, yeah, you knew the argument was good, or maybe you remember the argument and you thought it was decent, and you're like, okay, I want to understand it more, I want to study it more, or whatever, right? Like, then you read the stupid Bo Branson shit. Like that, I don't know why that's implausible, like whatever, but that's all I'm gonna say about this at this point. Other than the fact that these are the same fucking argument, which you did agree to, which you denied at the beginning. So win. Fuck you.
What? No, look, we can like. I want other people's opinion about whether it's the same argument after we're done here. I really do because I haven't actually
Why can't
studied.
you defend it?
Um,
Why can't you defend it? Why do you have to appeal? Why can't you do it? I want you to actually have a conversation about this then, if you're actually saying that. I want you to show
well, look,
me a premise of yours. Again, yours not formally deductive, but you're like one premise, including the counting shit, that's different than mine like a meaningful sense. There's not some obvious way where I can translate that to one of my premises. Other than the
well,
Holy
look, let
Spirit,
me
I
be
don't
honest with
add the
you.
Holy Spirit, right? Two is enough.
Well, let me be honest with you. People have DM'd me, giving me data for why they're different arguments, right? I would just be relying on that data, so I'm
Go
not
ahead,
going to
give
do
it
that.
to me. I'm literally saying do it. So I don't know why like I'm just saying do it.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, I'm fine to grant that it's the same argument that doesn't support. I don't think
Oh
that
my god, I'm just saying.
stands to be
I actually want
explained.
to hear the data. I don't even care. I just want to hear the data at this point.
I
'Cause I might
know
be
what
curious.
I care about. No, what I care
Oh
about
my
is the
god,
claim.
you don't want to
We care
defend
about two
anything.
different claims. Look, I can defend this claim that I didn't get this information from you. You can't
Of course you
defend
can
that. You
defend
can't.
that claim because I can't disprove it yet. You only want to defend shit that's
No,
unprovable.
I can. I can provide
It's easy
evidence
to do
against
that,
that
right?
claim.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna
Right?
defend the claim that I don't know. There's a fucking planet 50 billion light years to the west of me right now. I don't know. Like I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no, no. I provided
Uh,
evidence.
what?
Remember, I provided evidence.
Oh my goodness. No, point is not your
And okay,
side. The point is my
Quick
side.
is
Even
not.
if I granted
Quick,
your evidence, first of all, it's
the
just your
evidence on my
testimony.
side.
Let me finish. Okay, it's just your testimony. But even if I granted that, The whole
No,
point
it's
is
not just my testimony.
okay, fine, maybe Detroiters, whatever. Let's grant even okay. I'll
And
even
Bo
grant,
Branson and Jake's.
okay, fine. I'll even grant all that shit. Okay, I'll just grant that. The point
Well,
is
then
on
why
my
are you
side.
still sticking to the claim that I got it from you?
Oh my
You have
God,
your head buried in the sand.
let me finish because the point is I cannot provide counter evidence, right? Because I'm not there with you, right?
Why don't you just trust? Do you want to look at the emails between me
That
and Bo
doesn't prove
Branson?
it. That doesn't prove it. Oh my God, I don't want to go into this.
What
Okay, look,
would prove it at this point?
like a
That's sort
what?
of a rhetorical question. But look,
I mean, obviously, what would prove it is something short, like probably somehow you somewhere writing. You'd have to show me
in
evidence that you
writing,
didn't. You'd have to show me evidence that you didn't know about. When at the time you're giving these emails, something like that. That would
I
convince
didn't
me.
know about your argument.
Yeah, or you weren't. Yeah, you have to show evidence. You weren't thinking. You weren't cognizant about my argument when you were talking to these people. That would be actual evidence. But anyways, so you asked for it. That's
Okay,
actual real evidence.
so
But this is stupid. I already
okay,
told you it's so stupid. This is you want to
well, you're the
defend shit.
one that you were so stupid to bring it up.
I already said I brought it up just as like a side point because
Okay, so why are you
mostly
bringing up stupid points?
because you're the one keep
It's just
going on this.
stupid.
Oh my God. Okay, whatever. Look, I'm telling you already. I made the point to the level that I could defend it basically, which is what I said already. What I mean by that is simply it's something speculative. Obviously, uh, I was mostly speculating when I said it. There's no way for us to have a real argument
Well,
about
then I
this.
wouldn't
There is
speculate
no
because then I'll
way
just
for us
question
to
you.
have a real argument about this because how I'm not in a position to have the kind of evidence to prove you one way or the other, right? Right?
You want to have a discussion about how
So the
exactly
thing
my
about this
argument.
argument and whether these two are the same, we are in that position, right? To actually evaluate the evidence. You see
Yeah,
what I'm
but I'm
saying?
not really. I'm.
You're not
It just
interested in
it
that
turns
one, I
out.
know. So I'm okay. We can go back to something else. Look, at the end of the day, we can go back to the main point about trans shit because I'm willing to again discuss that and actually
I already
evaluate the
told you
evidence.
that.
No, I'm not
Look, I'm
interested in.
not.
I'm not interested in the he said she said. I'm actually interested in
Yeah, I
having a
know. No, I
conversation
know.
about
I know.
having
I
a
already
conversation
told you.
about
Look,
something where we
I'm
can
already
evaluate.
fine.
We can actually
I'm.
evaluate the evidence. Oh, great.
You see. You see. Look, I'm not. I'm at least humble enough to say that that conversation pushed me away from the trans topic because there are things that I could not figure. I didn't. My philosophy language. I found out right from especially from Durr, who was a lot more clear.
Sure.
Clearly, yeah. Durr is Durman.
Whatever.
Doorman.
I don't
Um,
remember. I barely remember him being
he
there, bro.
well, I remember him very well because he was
Okay, whatever,
frustrating with me
whatever.
too.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's just okay, whatever.
The point is that I have not. I'm fine to say that in that discussion I was confused because I felt confused, right? I also didn't feel like I was being understood, right? But I did feel confused, and because of that, I stopped doing the trans debate. I stopped it, right? So if you want to return to that conversation, right? Maybe you can help. You can educate me on all these distinctions about the difference between an extension of a set versus picking out one of those elements of the set or one of those members versus all of that, what how language works when we're talking about, I'm interested in women or I'm straight. Like you can you could help me understand all of those details, right? I'm not beyond help, right? But if you want to debate about it, I'm not prepared.
Buddy. Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna go over this one more time. Look, why did you tell me to get into VC then? I don't get it. Why did you want to get me? Why did you get me?
Because I was defending the claim. I was going. I mean, I gave you the information that I thought you didn't have, but that
No, that's not what
I didn't feel
happened.
like I was being understood.
No,
And then I
you're
asked
challenging
NVC.
me, and I
No, look, I w-
all I said is I
I've
wanted to
said
record.
NVC.
All I
Look, the
said
challenge.
is
Oh
all
my
I said
goodness! Tell
was
me when
go
you're
ahead.
done.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, NVC. I was demanding that y'all give me my original point.
Look, all I said doesn't have to do with what I said. All I said, and I already that's is next time we're gonna record this. I already explained what I meant by that, and maybe you didn't understand that, which I don't know why you didn't understand it. I don't know. It's like almost if I grant that, I'm being nice, but I'm also insulting you because, but whatever. I'm just look. Here's the point. I said what I said because again, I'm gonna repeat it sometime. I know I couldn't prove the past, right? You understand? That's my whole point of why I said what I
Yeah,
said.
I get that. I
So
get that. But I thought I
when you
had
pinged
information.
me, when you pinged me, when you pinged me, right? When you pinged me, and you say get on, I'm assuming you're saying something like, "Hey, forget the past," because obviously me and you we can't adjudicate that, right? Again, I'm gonna say this a million times, right? There's no way for us to You don't have any evidence, right? So I thought you were trying to make a point like, oh, okay, oh, you this is what I thought you were trying to say like
You've
this.
already said all of this. You've already said all this. I understand.
You're not responding
I
to
thought
it, so why you? It's like you're okay. Don't no. There's another point here, which is that if you ping me, why would you be ping me about something which I can't respond to?
no, you can respond by NVC. You can respond NVC about in articulating the original point that I gave, which you failed to give, by the way.
I did give it.
No, you did not. The
did
original
give it.
point was about the
Okay,
original
but
point was trying
this
to
is all he
provide.
said. She said again. So what do you mean? I'm going to say yes, I did. You said you don't. That's what I'm saying. This is
Look,
stupid.
I'm sorry to say, but where I was taking issue with Tofi was an empirical piece of data. It wasn't. I wasn't disagreeing with Tofi philosophically. In fact, I was fine to say that I was confused in that conversation.
Look, I'm going to say this one more time. Okay. What you said back then was that basically, here's what you said basically. I already said it. All right. You did say this, but the whole point is I don't want to argue about this with you because there's no way to prove this. But you said that the reason why heterosexual can't be attracted to women is because not most, or even let's just say most heterosexuals, males, are not attracted to all women. Right. So you're trying to conclude some facts about the meaning of the word heterosexual from the fact that not the fact that most men aren't basically let's just say all men. Let's say all men are not attracted to all women.
I'm
Right?
already look. It's so hard to follow you. Can you be clear? Like,
So I answered it, and now you're trolling. Okay.
I'm not trolling.
I mean, look, you're just proving my point.
Look, when you talk like this
Oh my
is
God.
and it is like that, it's not. It's just hard to follow. I'm sorry.
All right, I'll repeat it one more time. All right, just okay. All right.
I mean, I don't know
You
how
said
interesting
that's
this is
okay.
anymore.
I don't give a shit. I really don't care. Honestly, let me make the point. I don't care.
Well,
Okay.
then if you don't
You're
care,
just
well, then
dodging. You're just dodging. So let me make the point one more time. Okay. Okay. This is what you said back then. Okay. You can deny it. You
my
said
original point.
this
You're going to
this is
articulate my
your
original
point. This
point.
is the original point. This is what we were arguing about. Okay. This is what we were fucking arguing about. All right. All right. You were saying that the the fact that all men are not attracted, right, to all women, right? That proves that what's it called? Heterosexual is not mean attracted to the biological concept of woman.
Yeah, I remember discussing something about that, but I feel like is this the
Well,
same thing? But I feel like what I originally said was, what's going on when someone says, "I'm really interested in, yeah, I love banging women," right? And then someone presents like an elderly woman. It's like, okay, well, you like banging women? Bang this woman. Well, I'm not interested in banging that woman, but she's
it's
a
not
woman. You said
different,
you were
man.
interested in
Okay,
women.
this is
I was trying to capture. I was trying to capture what was going on there, right? And apparently,
no,
it
you
was
were
so
not.
stupid.
No, you were not. So
Okay,
look,
well
I
then
said this is all he
I
said.
don't.
She
Then I
said. This
don't
is
really
all he
care.
said. She said.
That's
You
not
don't
what it's.
care.
I'm
Wait.
telling you
No,
what the
I'm
point
actually
was.
pissed off now. Wait. This is my okay. Fuck you here. All right, big time. Fuck you.
All
Look,
right.
no, buddy. You need to admit this. All right. My whole point was why I didn't want to do this is exactly this point. You were just he said, she said. So don't get pissy
Okay,
now.
so if you
No,
think
no,
we
no, no,
can't
no,
make
no, no. Why are
progress,
you
then
getting
why are you
pissy
wasting
right
your
now?
time?
Why are you getting pissy right now when I disagree with you about what you said? That's the
Well,
whole.
it's not
I already said
about
this is
whether.
stupid. This is stupid. This is so fucking dumb. Okay,
Okay, then you're just
look at
being practically irrational by engaging with it at this point, right? You've said this 3 times. You don't think we can make progress, so you're being
how about,
practically irrational by engaging.
progress. All right, you know what? But look, I'll actually just engage in this a little further though. I will do this. Make this point. That couldn't have been what you said. All right, if we agree on some other facts about what was the conversation, which
Okay,
is
well, okay,
wait, wait,
fine. That's
which
not what I said. That's not. That's what I was trying to say. That's the
look,
point.
that
I didn't
cannot be
feel
what
like I
you're
was
trying to
being
say
understood.
unless you're
That's the
look,
point.
that
That's
cannot
the
be what
point
you
that
were
I'm
trying
trying
to
to
say
make.
unless you're
Quick,
crazy.
quick. This is what my point was. Is that look? There's what I said, and then what I was trying to say, right? And I feel like maybe it was very probable that what I said wasn't really meshing with what I was trying to say, and thus I didn't feel like I was being understood. It's not that hard, quick.
No, even that doesn't follow. You literally pissing me off
Doesn't
now.
follow.
You
What are you even talking about?
buddy, don't get pissy with me now, all right? You're the one who wanted to do this stupid game, all right? So let's do the game, all right? First of all right? Point one. conveniently, I mean, even if, unless what you wanted to say, okay, unless what you wanted to say was so off topic, right? Because what you want to say does not make sense in the context of the conversation. So I'm gonna go through this one more time, all right? Well, repeat again what you tried to say, what you were trying to say.
Okay, what I'm trying to okay, well, there's the I guess the context is someone says I really like banging women, and then someone presents either a trans woman, an elderly woman, a minor, and says okay, or well, I guess minors aren't women. Um, an elderly woman, a trans woman, and say okay, you like banging women? Well, here's a woman to bang, right? And then there's okay, well, no, I'm not interested in banging that woman. And so then I'm trying to like capture what's going on there, right? In our language, when we say I'm interested in women, are we talking about the whole category of women, a subset of women? And I felt like I was trying to say something like that when we express our sexual preferences, we have something specific in mind. We almost imagine it, right? Exactly what we want. And then when we see elderly women or trans women, it just doesn't conform to that image, so to speak, or that concept or whatever. And that's what kind of accounts for those cases. That's how it started. I felt like, other than that was a little bit after I tried to explain why I typically debate right-leaning people rather than left-leaning people. I think that's what happened.
We were talking about trans people, okay, which you just sort of bring up at the end, but you sort of changed what you said from like 30, like a little bit ago. But we were discussing trans people, okay. So the conversation, yeah, was about if you want to find. I don't even know if that was the exact phrasing, but let's just remember said it. I like women, or yeah, I want to bang women, or whatever, right? Whatever. Okay, the conversation, okay. So you're actually admitting what I just said, which is what I said, which is what you're saying is when people say I want to bang women, right? The word woman there does not mean uh biological concept of woman, right?
Yeah, I
That was
remember talking about that. Yeah.
right. And so that's obviously where I yeah, okay, even if yeah, that's obviously insane. That's obviously ridiculous. That's I mean that's just not
Well, yeah, I remember
correct.
talking about that. Yeah, but I mean,
What do you mean
is
that's
that
the
what you
whole
want to talk about now?
I'm happy to talk about that now. If you want to talk about that's literally the most happiest thing. I'm saying when people say I am heterosexual, which is what I said, or however you want to phrase it, they are saying I am attracted to the sex-based version of women, whatever, the biological concept of women, or whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. So this is what you want to know. Okay. So like, first of all, when you say biological concept, are you talking about like there's sort of our modern institutions of biology, like biologists and what's in biology textbooks, and I feel like people aren't really talking about that kind of thing.
Why?
Well,
So I'm this now let's
basically,
flip.
when historically speaking, right? Number one, people aren't referring to having a specific size of gametes or
Oh my goodness.
specific
Yeah, let's just stick to just genitalia for the conversation. I don't want to get into stuff about that.
Well,
Okay.
no, but that's it, just it. I'm actually totally fine that when people express their sexual preferences, they are do have genitalia in mind.
What? Okay, I mean, you just okay. Look, I don't understand. All I'm saying is, if you're agreeing with me, which is not what you were doing back then, uh, all I said is if somebody says I am a heterosexual, I'm gonna make a about how trans people are dishonest liars, but which is that if you say I'm attracted to heterosexual, I'm a heterosexual, right? That means biological women, in the whatever way you want to call it, classical sense, genitalia or whatever. I mean, it's a hero. Yeah, I'll just stick to that. Whatever. For our sake
Okay.
okay, that's what I said. So I mean, if you're backing off of what you said back then, I mean, whatever. But that's what I said, right?
Look, that
And you,
conversation was.
that was
Go ahead.
literally the point. That was literally the point. Okay, I know
Yeah. Okay. Well,
exactly why this was brought up. Okay, because this was a point I was making about how trans people are dishonest liars. So you want me? I'll give you the original argument if you want me to give you the.
wait, before I do, you thought I was saying that when people express their sexual preferences, that in most cases they don't have genitalia in mind. You thought that that's what I was saying?
Well, you explicitly said, okay, you explicitly, in response to my argument, said, but not all men, or like, let's just, yeah, not all men are attracted to all women. That's what you said in response to my argument. Now,
Okay, but could you
can
answer my
override
question?
that doesn't
really fast?
work if you want to go, or you could deny that you said
Could you
that
answer my
or
question?
whatever.
Could you just answer my question? You thought that what I was trying to say back then was that when people express their sexual preferences, okay, about whether they want to fuck men or women, that they don't have genitalia in mind. You thought that that's what I was trying to say?
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah, exactly. I think you were exactly
Okay,
because you
well
were
then
trying
if
to.
I said that, that
Because
was
let me be explicit about this. Because your whole point was trying to show that actually you can be heterosexual and be and like trans women, right? That was the whole conversation. So, like I said, there was no disagreement. Look, what you're saying right now doesn't make sense. The whole disagreement was because I'm trying to say something like this. All right, I was trying to say you. When a guy says I'm a heterosexual, they're excluding trans women. They're excluding them. And if you're saying, if
yeah.
you're agreeing with me right now saying it does exclude them, then there would be no disagreement. Because that was my whole point. Okay, and I was saying that the whole point.
I would say they typically do. Um, I think that when most people express their sexual preferences, I think they do have genitalia or other private
So
areas in
you're agreeing
mind.
with me right now, which I'm happy about. I mean, I'm happy you agreeing with me now, but that obviously couldn't have been what you said back then, because then why would you disagree with me? Because all I said, all my argument was, I'm gonna give the full argument. It's a very simple argument. I said something basically like, when people say I am a heterosexual, yeah, it it excludes trans people because it's about roughly genitalia, you know, right? So it cannot be them. And actually they're dishonest because what they do is they bait and switch because they say, because when people define heterosexuality, they often use terms like woman, which are ambiguous. Okay, so the whole point I'm making is even there might be this, let's call it gendered concept of women. Fine, like let's just grant it. There's this performative gender, whatever concept of women. Okay, and then there's a sex-based concept, and it's obvious in normal English how to. This is why what you said was ridiculous at the time. I mean, you could deny it now, but in normal English, it's easy to figure out which one is being used in which context. And obviously, in the context of being heterosexual, right? It's or I'm straight. Or maybe that's I didn't even think I used the word. I think I used the word straight, not heterosexual, but whatever. When people say straight, I'm straight. It's obvious that they're talking about sex-based concepts, not gender-based concepts, whatever, right? But what?
Would you be fine with saying that? And that's going to be like a 95% of chance. Like in most cases, they have like a those particular secondary sex characteristics are something that they have in mind when they express their sexual preferences. Like, or do you think, on your view, like if someone says, "Yeah, I want to bang women," that could include people that don't have vaginas?
That could include people who don't have vaginas. What? No, I'm saying most of the time it doesn't include those people.
Most of the time, it doesn't, right?
Yeah, in
But
normal
there
English.
are cases where you would be fine with saying
Okay,
a
I'm saying
straight
in normal English it doesn't. Let me put it that way. That's
normal English does it. Okay, but I'm just asking, um, are there cases, legitimate cases, where people express they want to bang a woman and they may not have particular genitalia in mind, even though that's in the majority of cases people do have that in
There's
mind.
no doubt that people might use the term idiosyncratically, or people have done that.
Okay, that would be idiosyncratic on your view.
So I don't know. I mean, look, that's not the whole point. Is that again? I can go over this. It's the dishonesty is the other way. If you use it idiosyncratically, that's fine. I have no issue with that. The issue is the dishonesty the other way. Okay, so you're not getting the point of the whole argument in the beginning. Which my whole point was.
Because what you're saying is that, like, for trans advocates to say that, well, oh, look, people when people express their sexual preferences, right? There's it's not obvious that most people have
No,
specific
they don't even make.
genitalia
I
in
don't
mind.
know. They're very explicit. They'll make a point like this. Oh, you're straight, so that means you're attracted to women, and then the person says, "Yes, I'm attracted to women," and then the trans person says, "Well, I'm a woman." Okay, so obviously there's dishonesty because when the guy says, "I'm into women," right? He's using the sex-based concept, right? And then when the
Uh-huh.
trans person says, "I am a woman," they're doing the what's it called? Let's call it the gender-based concept, whatever. I'm just, whatever. So that is dishonest. That was my whole point. That's
Okay.
dishonest. Because
Okay, so
actually,
is this
because it's obvious in normal English that when people say I am straight, it obviously is the sex-based concept, not the gender-based
Okay.
concept. And so, and then
Okay, so
they'll accuse the guy of being transphobic, right? So it's this game that's literally what I'm saying is they play they trick people and they're dishonest. They play games. That was my whole argument.
okay,
But you disagree with that. That's the only reason we had this conversation. I mean, it sounds like
okay.
you're
Well,
agreeing with me more now, which I'm happy. I'm happy that
well,
God,
remember,
embracing your heart, weakening those.
it's funny
Realistic.
you were so gung ho about moving on to the meat of of gender theory, but now you're constantly going back to the previous conversation, which you admitted you can't like
I'm
definitively
not
prove
going back to
anything
the
about
previous
what was said.
conversation. How did I go to the previous
Right.
conversation right now?
Okay, so look, I've already let's just get this out of the way.
How did I
Wait,
how
let
did
me
I just
finish.
now go
I'm
back to the
almost
previous
done.
conversation?
Almost done.
No, you
I'm almost
just
done.
made stuff up. You just
Let's
made
just
stuff up.
let's get this out of the way. I've already this is the third time I'm saying this. That conversation afterward, I told you I'm not doing the trans debate stuff because y'all gave me stuff to think about. I told you that. I think you even have that DM. So let's just put that. We're done with that, right? I'm not saying I was right or I didn't say stupid things in that conversation. Okay, let's move on from what was said there because I'm fine to say that I'm at blame in that conversation epistemically. Okay, now let's move on from that. Okay, now currently my question for you actually I just want to get a clear point of clear. Did you want to say anything because I interrupted you?
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay, so now moving on to understand you, you're saying that someone like me, you right, express I'm sexually interested in women, and you say that to what seems to be a woman, and then they say, well, oh, okay, you're interested in women. Well, guess what? You're interested in me, and by the way, I'm trans, and there's some kind of like d- the deception like all of that is deceptive and stuff like that. Is that did I understand you correctly?
That yeah. Well, what would be this? The deceptive part is what? Yeah. Well, that's also that is deceptive. Yeah. It was really bad. But then the guy says, "Oh no, obviously, no, I'm not interested in you, right? Because you're trans." And they say, "Oh, what? You're like some bigot or some hypocrite, or you're like contradicting yourself. Like you just said you're straight, and now you're saying to me because I'm trans. Like it doesn't mean like so what? Like
Yeah,
I'm
I think so. So two things. First of all, I would agree that just because in that case you said you're interested in women doesn't mean that you're interested in them, right? You might exclude them because they're trans, but it depends on. So what I want to say is that you don't have to exclude them because you don't have to exclude them because you're counting them not as a woman, right? And but you're but question before you might have a comment on that. If you said the same thing and it was an elderly woman that used a lot of Botox and she seems young, right? But when you say you're interested in women and you being in your 20s probably or maybe your early 30s, you have again in mind a particular age. Okay. And then she said, "Oh, you're interested in me then, right? And by the way, I'm 60 years old. I just look really young." And then you're like, "Well, what's the difference between that sort of case, that deception with the Botox elderly woman that
there's no
you're not
deception.
interested in because you're not what?"
There's no. What do you mean by deception? I mean, there's a different level of deception, but the point is, you're not. The point is, the elderly woman isn't going to say something like, "Oh, this is what I'm saying." So okay, let's look at the elderly woman. If the elderly woman said this, it would be crazy. What if they said, "Oh, but you said you're heterosexual, so that includes that means that you must like older women, right?"
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Yeah, but
wouldn't interpret that.
so yeah. So look, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Look, I'm not sure what you're trying. But look, in that case, what's going on is simple. Look, when I say I'm heterosexual, that doesn't specify what age preference, right? I might have other preferences, right? That's fine. I'm just
Right.
yeah, yeah, of course. But I don't see the issue. So then
Okay.
I learned something about
So
you,
what
and
I'm
then
trying to say is what I guess I don't know what your position is. I mean, do you count trans women as women? You don't, right?
I don't. Oh yeah, I like I said, I literally said it's a verbal dispute. I swear to God, I said this at least,
Okay, okay,
if
okay.
not
Yeah.
at before or at least at the same time. All right, so it's not. Oh
So
yeah,
you're fine to say that, but with the way that you use the term, would there be usages of the way that you commonly use the term where it would apply
well,
to trans women?
what I would say is in normal English. Well, maybe not now, but certainly a few 10, 15, 20 years
Yeah,
ago.
but I'm asking about your usage. I don't really,
What do you mean my usage?
but the general
I
usage.
just speak normal English. So
Okay, okay. So
my
your
whole point
usage of
is,
the term
well,
woman wouldn't count
I'm
trans
yeah.
women as
What I'm
women.
saying is I'm not doing anything special. I'm saying I'm aligning with common usage. So I try to use the woman the way commonly used, which is mostly sex based. Okay, but yeah. So,
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
the way that
it's a little
to
bit more
clarify.
complicated nowadays. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little. So just to clarify, since you use the common usage, which you argue is the sex-based usage, you given that particular usage, we would exclude trans women as women, right?
Yeah, given that usage, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that is, we wouldn't say,
Yeah.
yeah. I can give like a billion cases, right? But yeah, if you want, I can just cite a bunch of cases that are obviously, yeah.
Okay, and by sex-based, you mean genitalia-based,
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. Okay.
Yeah, let's just say
So
yes.
that's
I mean, just say yes. Let's just say yes. Keep it simple
okay.
for now.
So it's something that counts as a particular sex, right? So let's say am I male because I have the a penis? Like, is that your position, or I'm a man because I have
Yeah.
the right
You know,
genitalia?
I'll say yes for now. Yes, yes. Let's go with it. Until yeah.
Well, it can't just be that though, because like obviously I could get penile cancer and they can remove it, and I would not have a that genitalia or that area. People, there are women that get.
Right. Obviously. So
So then,
what's the
what would
point?
count them as? Would the common usage of man then apply to me?
Yeah,
Why?
but why I don't know why you're doing this.
I'm just curious. What your view
Well,
is? So because
okay,
you're
fine. Okay, but I'm trying to figure out what's the point. Okay, you're just trying to do this.
okay, I'll get
Like,
to the point.
are
Fine.
you
Well,
asking me
here's
to
here.
define?
Fine. I'll just give the fine. I won't. You don't have to answer the question
No, I'm
directly.
gonna explain. No, I want to make a bigger. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what your goal is because, like, if you're asking me to play the definition game, I mean,
Well, look,
I'm.
I'm going to
Let
be
me finish,
charitable and tell
please.
you
For
what I'm
God,
thinking.
I want to make the point on this. Okay, the whole point
You
is
don't have to answer the question, man. I'll tell you what my point is.
no. I want to make my point, but fine, go ahead.
Okay. The point is that if you're saying the common usage is the usage that where genitalia is in the concept, and so if you don't have the prerequisite genitalia, you're not of the member of that category. Well, then it seems like my penile case, right? My penile cancer case, right?
Yeah, I know it's a
The common usage.
counterexample. Why are you playing the definition game? My fucking God, don't waste my time, please.
Why am I don't mean to be playing a definition game. I really don't. I'm really not.
Oh my God.
Because I'm fine to say that.
You're asking me what makes somebody a man or a woman right now. That's what you're doing. Are you
Well,
asking a
I'm
question?
wondering about.
Oh my God, let me
I'm
finish
wondering
now.
about.
Let me come on. I literally try to. You are trying to play. Okay, I'm trying to speed this up. You're asking me questions about what somebody makes somebody a man. All right. You literally asked me that, and I went with a initial definition to move the conversation along. So let me explain. Okay. So I don't know why. Okay. But then you started doing this game where you're like, oh well, your definition has counterexamples. Blah 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 blah. Look, I'm trying to figure out. Are you just want to play definition game and just start like arguing about what makes somebody a man or a woman? I'm happy to play that game to a certain extent. To a certain extent, but I want to get I thought there was a bigger point we're trying to talk about. But if you want to just play the
Okay,
game, I'm
okay.
happy to play the game.
Maybe
You want to play
so
the
you
game or
think
not?
this
I
is
just want to know. Either explain to me why you want to do this, play the game, or
I'm wondering. Look, here's the difference in opinion here is that I'm inclined. I'm okay with thinking that the common usage of woman, even while it includes genitalia, can make room for trans people. I don't think you're saying it can make room for it. So I'm saying, is there a fact of the matter about this? Is there a substantive disagreement? One second, my wife needs to tell me something.
there's just what do you mean there's the whole point is we're talking about words. I don't really mean substance disagreement. Yeah, I'm saying it does include it. Yeah, brutal.
Sorry. No. I'm just asking. Look, do you think there's a real dispute here? Because I'm inclined to think that the common usage of woman might make room for people that don't have vaginas or penises, don't that, um, and but you're inclined the other way, and I'm wondering if you think this is just merely a terminological dispute, or if you think there's a substantive dispute here.
Well, I don't. There's also yeah. I've already said from the beginning it's a terminological dispute, but and I'm saying
Okay,
that.
so there's no real dispute.
What do you mean a real dispute? I already told. I thought you were disputing what the common usage is. So I'm claiming the common usage is aligned with what I'm saying. But like,
But you're saying
if
you're
you're
arguing the common usage rules out trans people, but right?
yes, of
Okay.
course it does.
And you're trying to say the support for that claim is that the common usage includes genitalia, right?
No, that's not my evidence. No, that's not what I said. Okay,
Oh, okay.
You asked me again. I So now now I know you were playing the definition game. I'm gonna have to go into a much more technical point, which I don't want to do into this, but now we have to get technical. No, my whole point is I gave a rough definition, just to go along with the conversation, right? So, and the way you put it is not the right way of putting it, right? It's both necessary and since the definition is both necessary and sufficient, right? So that's why it excludes it, right? Um, or at least in necessary cases, forget the sufficient, right? So yeah, what I could say, if you want to play the game, I mean, yeah, roughly, it's certain
Wait,
things
wait,
related to
I don't know
having.
if we're playing a game here. Look, because I think it's an empirical question now,
Of
right? It's
course,
not
it's an
like
empirical
how do you
question.
define your terms? Because it's an
It
empirical
is an
question.
empirical
Because
question. It is an empirical
okay,
question.
so why would you think if it's an empirical question, why are you saying it's merely
The
it's like
game
a
is the game of doing this where you ask me for a definition, I give you one, you come up with a counterexample, and then I
okay,
revise the
look here.
definition.
I have a way not to play that game. So that because if you don't want to play that game, I don't really want to play that game either. Do you think
Okay,
that I'm missing something when what am I missing
so let me
when I
go
say,
through
well, look,
this. Yeah, I'm gonna go through. So the point is, I don't need to offer a definition to prove it's exclusionary because I can go and look. The whole point is, by when I'm peeling the common usage, you look at the way people use it, right? And I can see that the way they use. So here's another example. Again, I gave this example many times. Women's sports. The people don't call it female sports. They call it women's sports. Okay, and I can go. You want me to go through the whole history of women's sport? I can do this. Okay.
no, you don't need to do that.
No, it's important because like so why is it exclusionary? Because I don't understand why there's all this controversy about women's sports then. To me, it's obvious. Okay, here's basically first of all, let me start with this question. Why do people distinguish women's sports and men's sports? Female
From what I
sports?
understand, having a certain set of genetics, hormone levels, blah blah blah, right, can offer 50% of the population a huge advantage.
Right. And the important point is this. I'll grant that. The important point is this, there's a correlation between your I'll just use the word, I'll say sex to keep it broad, okay? Your sex and your ability to perform in certain sports. You right? It's not, and it's an important point. It's not how you look, okay? You could look feminine and still be super fucking strong, right? You can wear makeup and have long hair and still be super fucking strong, right? That's obviously not when people. So if you understand the basic motivations for the distinction, you understand that the reason why they made it is because there's a certain correlation between having a certain sex and having certain other biological features. And so people thought the disparity was large enough that they wanted to promote a certain level of fair playing level field, whatever, right? They want to separate the two groups. Okay. So given the way given this historical understanding and all this stuff, it's obvious to me that when people say women's sports, it's not about whatever the most pick any lefty trend includes a definition. It's not about how people look or perform or do. You could be very feminine looking, right? That's not why the whole point again is because there's a correlation between your sex and your ability to perform in these sports, right? And that's why they separate it. Just right, just like people in boxing, there's weight classes. So you're asking me why do I exclude them? Well, that's one obvious case why. Because the word woman there clearly that in that case excludes trans people. So that's one case right
Yeah,
there.
I,
I
I,
don't
I
in
see
this way, I
that.
don't have to define what makes a woman to know that. So that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah,
So that's
okay,
what
yeah, that's
it's
fine. I'm
playing
not
the
going to
game.
give you pushback about that, but I think the for me at least is there are thought experiments that can make sense of cases where
No, there isn't
certain
actually.
individuals.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what?
I'll dispute all those thought experiments. Go ahead.
Okay, so there's thought experiments that I think sort of make sense of um, being able to understand why it's, I guess, valid to exclude, let's say, someone from women's sports, but also think of them as a woman, right? Like, and I think that, I mean, I don't know, like a Freaky Friday case, um, but let's just pretend rather than a mom and their daughter, it's a mom and her son. Okay, so in a Freaky Friday case, they switch consciousness, right? Um, And so it would be the mom would be in, or I actually, you know what I really like is the example in. Yeah, have you seen Jumanji?
Yeah, yeah. Barely remember it, but sure.
Okay, so I'm just curious then. When it's that doesn't the hot girl become Jack Black in
Sure.
in
Let's.
in
I don't remember, but let's just say yes.
right.
Right.
Right. So there's a sense in which when you're in the game and you're looking at the Jack Black character, they're a man, right? You would exclude them from women's sports,
Yeah.
and I think that would make sense, right? But there's also a different sense in which you would refer to her as she, right? You would not consider her a man in some other kind of relevant sense, right? So I think you can have both worlds.
I mean, you're just talking about weird. You're just talking about personal identity cases. First of
Yeah.
all, weird exception rules, but second of all, not relevant. I don't see the point. I mean, even in this
Well, no,
case,
here's the relevance. Here's the relevance because I think it matters how
what?
people feel about how they stand in relation to gender norms. And if analyzing that might make it very justifiable to refer
But I
to
don't get
them
it.
as
In your scenario, does the person who became Jack Black, they're not allowed to play women's sports? Why would they be allowed to
right.
play women's sports? Oh, I don't get it then. I don't
I
get
don't
your
think they
point.
should be. I know. I agree. I wouldn't allow them. I mean, I wouldn't think it'd be fair to let them into women's
It's not about
sports.
fairness. Okay, it's not even about fairness. I'm just saying,
It's
given
all
the
about
context.
fairness in sports.
No, okay. That's the reason why they made the rule. I'm saying, given the rule, they're not allowed in. Okay, so it's a subtle distinction. It's
Yeah.
actually important because to why trans people are lying in this case too. Very important. Why it can prove that they're dishonest in this
Oh,
case.
okay.
No, it's important to distinguish. The reason why they made the rule is about fairness. Okay, but the rule itself is you have to be a woman to play, right? That's the rule.
Okay. Okay. Fine. But look. What do
Well,
you
the
think the
point is,
point?
Jack Black. I don't know whatever the lady who becomes Jack. I mean, there's already, like I said. By the way, the hypothetical just already has a because there's all these weird issues about personal identity. It becomes tricky, but whatever. Woman who becomes Jack Black, a woman who becomes Jack Black, would not be able to play in women's sports because I'm using the word
You
she.
know, I already said. Look, but
He,
the question for
whatever.
you. Look, the
It
question. Fine. You're
is
not
not a
allowed in
woman.
women's sports. Fine. 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 But then I'm just asking you. Would it be a correct attribution of pronouns to refer to the Jack Black character as she?
Would it be a right?
For you, how you use the term she in your everyday
Yeah. I
cases, right?
mean, what you could probably say is there's a. I mean, this like I said, this gets to the question about personal identity.
Well, it doesn't
But
matter. I don't really care about the
this is the
explanation.
whole
I'm
point.
just
You will say she. You will say she if you have a. But let me just explain why you're gonna say she. You're
there.
gonna
You
say
go.
she. Can I explain or what?
Go ahead.
Oh my god, you're gonna say she if your view is that what makes you you is psychological continuity, right? So, and again, in that stupid movie, it's like her consciousness is transferred to Jack Black's brain, right? So there's a famous case about this, right? In that view, right? There's like a you're gonna say you're gonna still call it she because this is like I said, it's like a weird edge case about language because her her brain or her mind is still a female brain or mind, right? In some sense, whatever, right? Um, and so that's why you would still say she. If you have a very strong, you know, whatever
Well,
call
can
it,
I make a
whatever
really fast point here?
animalistic
Look,
view
the
or
point
whatever
for
you're gonna
me.
call it, like
Look,
physicalistic
the
view.
point for me. I don't need you to explain all of it because the point for me is this: that what matters at least for me and many others, is what I think. There are two philosophers I was reading. They use this term called gender feels, right? The point is that the hot girl that took on Jack Black's body, right, has a certain feels that you can understand, the sense of being trapped in the wrong body and blah blah blah, such that I'm not irrational or even using the term she idiosyncratically. Um, and I think that even
The
though
only
we might
reason you're
say
using the
yes,
word she
almost
there, I
almost
already
done, almost done, almost done, almost done. Um, Now I lost my train of thought. But what I'm trying to say is that I think that even though it's a fantastic case, it's some silly movie, right? The gender feels that that woman had when she took on Jack's body could very well be the gender feels that people today have when they're in their bodies, and that's kind of where I'm coming from on the trans debate.
No. So first of all, it's questionable whether that's actually coherent. But anyway, second of all, that story. But let's ignore that for a second. The reason why you call her she, you didn't address my point, is because of the point about psychological continuity. So I don't see how it's relevant.
Well, what's relevant is that it. Okay, but even with psychological continuity,
Okay.
it could be. Imagine if the hot girl, had gender dysphoria, right? She wanted to present like Jack Black. Okay, and then the game gives her what she wants. Then I would just would it still be a she on your view? I mean, there's
Yeah,
psychological
the point is,
continuity.
wait. My point is, if you called her a she before Jack Black happened, right? Right. The whole point is, and her consciousness stays the same, right? So this is like I said, there's like some okay, this is getting all technical about how she is used. Part of if you understand part of the concept of the she and he is picking out something, right? So this is why it's getting all weirdly technical, but fine, I'll do the game. Okay. So it's sort of like an indexical in some sense, like he and she, it's picking out uh a certain person, right? But it's it's the gender adds a certain kind of descriptive content to it. Okay. Um what's going on is if I call her she before, right? Even if she's gender dysphoria, I don't know what makes a difference, right? I'm picking her out, right? But what's her? Let's just say hers. Let's assume they have a soul, or I don't use her mind, whatever. Forget soul. She has a mind. So when I say she, I'm picking out her brain or her mind. Not again, not brain. Her mind. Her mind then transfers to a different body. And I'm gonna say the word she because like it's still picking out the same mind. Like that. I don't know. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, but I don't think you would if you found out that the girl in the story had severe gender dysphoria
What? I don't care.
and she'd never. Okay, well then then I'm just gonna give you my view then but the reason in why I think I take issue with what you're saying is because if this woman, this what I thought was a woman, right, had extreme gender dysphoria that she never or that she never really articulated and didn't capitalize on, right, didn't try to transition, attempted to conform to male gender norms or whatever, right, and then she got what she wanted in the game, right, then I would be fine to say, oh, like because you remember in the story, like when she becomes Jack Black, she's like, ew, she hates her body, right? She just hates it. There's a dysphoria there. But if I rearrange the story in this sort of way where she takes Jack's body and says, oh my God, yes, this is what I wanted. I always wanted a dick. I've always wanted to be hairy, blah, 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 right? Then, I'm like, can you please call me he? It makes sense for me to change um, from she to he, like, because now they no longer have gender dysphoria. They're completely content with those male gender norms now being relevant to them in some kind of way, and yet they have psychological continuity.
Okay, yeah, you feel bad for them. Okay, good. I understand. I already knew the reason why people do that, but that doesn't prove my point about common usage. Okay. Uh, you were talking about common usage, and you gave this most extreme weird case. And again, I don't know what it proved. Okay, look, here's the
Look,
basic
what
thing.
I'm trying to say is there are two usages here. It seems like, right?
No,
There's a sort of usage in which, okay, good. Did you want to say something?
no, go ahead. I'm okay with that. Just go ahead.
There's a usage in which, yeah, sorry, they're not going in this women's sports. You're a man, okay, and then there's a kind of usage where we're tracking their gender feels, the way that they relate to their bodies, and the way that they relate to gender norms, right? And I think that
But don't use the word
I
she. Actually, think about. Actually, I want to use the word woman because again, the word she. The problem is it has other grammatical usages. That's my whole point. Is that in this case, it's like sort of pulling those two things apart, and that's why we're getting these weird cases. That's what's going on.
Okay,
There's
let's
a,
go, drop the word she. Let's just take the same thought example, right? There's a sense in which the Jack Black character is not a woman and would be excluded, right, from gender sports, from the women's sports. But there's also another sense in which I think it is a woman trapped in this male
Okay,
body.
obviously, what do you mean by okay? That's what we're disputing. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out why is this an example. So I'm trying. So my whole point is I appeal to cases of common usage. All right, so let me. Now I'm lost. Okay, look, I need you to. You're trying to somehow prove that it's not that there's a gendered case that's common usage. I'm very skeptical. So I'm waiting for a case that really should distinct that separates it in the nice way you want it to. You haven't really offered one. Most of the time when we use the word woman, you go through most cases. Uh, it's always at least there are cases where they're clearly separated, and it's clearly supporting a sex-based concept, and then where they're and in the most other cases, it's consistent with both. That's basically how it goes. But then, of course, where it's consistent with both, the lefties try to say, "Oh, it's the gender term," but then I'm like, "Wait, no, it's consistent with both." So that doesn't prove your point. That's yeah. So,
Okay, wait,
like I said, I mean,
just to clarify
I
your
give
view.
you more examples like bathrooms. Uh, yeah, because I already gave
Look, I'm going to
dating
be
one.
sympathetic to a lot of that. I mean, the point
Wait,
is a lot of the political, like when I'm saying there's like the kind of cultural stuff that
wait,
goes
this is
on.
the whole issue. Wait, this is the whole fucking dude. The saying "who's
No, it's
okay."
not the, it's not the, it's not the
No,
whole
no,
issue.
no, no. You're picking out the one minor thing, which is do you
No, I
say
don't
he
think
or
it's
she? No,
minor.
no, no.
Look,
Let me
I,
finish, bro. Gendered pronoun point. Okay, there's a stupid gendered pronoun point. Okay. Oh, do you call them a she or he or whatever? Fine. The actual issues where you can call them out as being dishonest liars, right? Where it actually matters. They're just blatant dishonest liars. I don't know how to put it. That's why I look at the end of the day, you could idiosyncratically define words however you want.
but that's not
So,
what I look.
so if you want to do that, you can
Oh
do
my
that.
god, you said that like you think that issues like bathrooms and sports. You're right; those are huge, major issues in our culture with respect to gender. But there's a kind of more basic thing to this that I see that when someone says, "I don't feel like this is my body right now," or "I feel like I'm in the wrong body," is they may maybe this concept of gender identity is very
Question
confused. Okay.
is the question is are they right? Right? That's the question.
Okay. Well, the question is, how do we best interpret that?
That's
And then when I think when
I'm
you
not
answer that
denying that they
question,
feel that way. Wait, I don't look. I'm not denying
well,
that they feel that
but
way.
I think what I'm
The
trying to
question
point out is
is
that
it theoretical?
their
I
feelings,
know the theoretical level.
this is weird to say, but I mean, but the feelings matter a lot in terms of how we think about their gender, right? Like
But that's what
the
I'm just
reason why
saying.
I try to the the the
Look,
the
the whole point is
experiments
the
with
other side saying no. So look. I know what you're saying. Look, the other side is explicitly saying this is the whole conversation, right? They're saying, all those stupid cliches. It doesn't matter how you feel, right? Look.
it does matter. That's what I'm saying. It
No, they're
does
saying,
matter how
but
you
they're saying, but okay, but they're saying how you feel doesn't make you a woman, right?
well. No, I think people are undervaluing how you the importance of feeling in terms of how you see your gender. I mean, like, I
I
mean
don't
that
understand how you.
I
Of course,
think.
it affects how you see it. Okay, I don't know what you're. Okay, look, for the love of God, you're
Well,
killing
look.
me.
Oh my gosh, do I have to be? Look, the point is that again, if you take the thought experiment, I don't know if I don't know how
We can
much.
go back. Don't go back to thought experiment, please. Please don't go back to that. I promise you, it didn't prove anything. If you want to do it, we could do it. But I'm begging you, don't do it because I don't think it showed
Well, I
anything.
don't really see. I mean, okay, but if the thought experiment is successful and
There is no
showing
success.
that
Okay, tell me tell me what the goal is, and let's see how successful. What's the
the
goal?
goal is that are we misusing the term woman when we say that's a woman in a male body?
That's a woman in the male body. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Okay, so
Even
in
common
the
usage, I mean,
movie,
I should be clear.
you're aware of the movie. You just find the whole experiment to be sorry. You take the hypothetical to be incoherent, logically incoherent, or something.
Okay. When you say a woman in a man's body, in that context, what I in that context, the way I would understand it is something like this. There was this mind was in a woman's body previously, um, and now the woman is in the man's body, right? So there's a woman inside of a man in that sense, right? There's this person's internal thoughts is an important point too. Internal thoughts sound completely different than their external thoughts, right? Like it's not the same voice. Um, okay, yeah, in that kind of sense, I understand a woman being inside a man's body, right?
Okay, so
Because
but you're saying that it only makes sense because of the causal history of how the mind got there.
yeah, because I mean, and that's I think the way they're using woman there is democratic. Yeah, I'm saying what's going on there is because of the fact that like I said, we're referring to the mind in that case.
You're
So
referring to yeah.
yeah.
Okay. But look, the point is that I don't want to think of it as I don't want to say that the reason why we're correctly attributing woman to Jack Black character as a woman being trapped in a male body is not simply because of like the causal history. It's also the fact that in the movie when she finds herself in that body, she freaks out and says, "This is not the body I'm supposed to be in."
Okay, what does that
I
prove?
feel like
What does that prove?
what does that prove is that if that's sufficient for a correct attribution of the term, then you don't need the causal history,
Wait,
right?
wait,
You could just have
wait,
someone that starts
wait,
off.
repeat the sentence. What word are you talking about? You said I am not in this body, or I don't belong in this body. What did you say?
Yeah, so what really matters to me in terms of the correct attribution of woman and male body,
No,
right,
no, you repeat the
is
sentence.
how what sorry?
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Yeah, is the way that she relates to the body, that this is not my body. These norms apply to
This is
me,
not my
but I don't
body. What does that have to do with the? Okay, so that's like the word woman is not used there. So what does that prove about the word woman? It's all I'm saying. Okay, like it's very simple. I can say, look here. I'm gonna give the stupid example. It's actually a good argument, but it's been memed, so everyone's gonna say this is stupid, but it's actually a good fucking argument. If I say I'm a fucking helicopter or all the stupid shit, that a horse, a cow, okay, am I fucking? What does that prove?
well, we might not know what they mean. If they
What do
mean
you mean? I
the
don't know what you mean. Look. I'm asking you, does that prove that the concept of animal, helicopter, these things have no biological or physical basis? So I think
I
part of
don't
the
think
concept
so.
of like let me put it like this, okay? I think the concept of being a cat includes certain biological facts. That's me personally, okay? Okay. Now if somebody became, if somebody said I'm a cat, I don't think that proves anything about what the concept is, right? If they believe that, right? I don't know. How does that prove anything about
So,
anything?
like, would Professor McGonagall be a cat, like, or human, or do you cannot like, or but there it's weird. Okay, so like if you compare like the
Yeah,
Professor
the whole the
McGonagall,
whole example you're doing, yeah, because I could do the same example with becoming a cat, right? Yeah, you should realize that, right? Yeah, I become a cat, but I still have my human brain. Oh, and then I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm a cat now. What? You think that proves that, like, what the word cat doesn't include biological
wait, let me
concepts?
finish.
I just don't
Right,
get it. Like, this is
there's
ridiculous.
two things. Right, there's two cases here that I want to talk about. There's Professor McGonagall and the Princess and the Frog. Okay, so they might be the same case, but the
Can we
one
just stick to
big
my
difference
cat
is
example? I don't want to stop. Don't add more names. Just don't add names,
let me
bro.
get this out.
Okay, fine.
In Princess of the Frog, they don't want to be. Trapped in the wrong body, right? They're humans trapped in frog bodies. And but I don't think McGonagall would say that when she transforms into cat, right? But nonetheless, she would still say, "I'm human," and we'd still, even if we see the cat, there's a sense in which she's a cat and a human, right? I mean, how do you cash out those things?
Let me catch out what. Okay, okay. Whoa. I don't know what. Okay, let's just stick to this. Okay. In the cat case, okay, first of all, if a human says I'm a cat, does that prove shit? Let's start with that first. About the word,
Does
what the
that
word cat
prove
means.
that if a human says that they're a cat, right? I would be very confused.
That's fine. I'd be very confused too, right?
Yeah.
I like how yeah, and the point is I wouldn't just be confused about when they say they're a cat, I'd be confused if they said some other stuff, whatever, right? That's my point. But I don't know. I still need you to answer my question. What does it prove about if somebody says I am a cat? What does that prove about the concept of cat? Does it prove that it's not biological, that it's in some sense social, or what? Does it? I'm just curious. I just want to understand that.
I
And now,
really don't know.
you really don't know? Okay, I know. I
No,
really
no,
don't.
wait, no, I don't know how to answer the question. Like, what does it prove? Look,
Look,
to me, I kind
the
of see it
whole
the same way as
conversation
man
we're
and
having
woman.
right now is we're trying to figure out what the common usage of certain terms are. All right. So let's forget gender terms
Well,
because I
let
want
me
to
say this
understand how
because the
you.
reason.
I want to
Well,
understand how you
I
handle
want
the
to show
case
the
of cat.
asymmetry here. I want to try to show the asymmetry here, right?
There's no
The
asymmetry.
asymmetry is that there are present norms about male and female that are relevant to people to where they take those norms as like I guess how they feel that about their gender, right? Like there's norms about gender, and then they think it's relevant to them, and all this whole structure, right? This whole societal structure. But there's nothing like that with cats. I mean, we don't typically I mean, maybe I'm not articulating it well, but
You're
like,
question begging, and it's not addressing the issue. So let me
okay,
just
what issue do I have to address here?
okay, for the love of God, let's just please. I want forget everything. I just want to know how. I want to see how this goes with the cat case in general. I want to see what conclusions we get to with the cat case. All right. So I say somebody says I am a cat. Agree or disagree? That proves something about uh cat being a non-biological concept. Like that's evidence about right.
I don't know how to answer the question, honestly. I
What's
mean,
unclear about
like,
the question?
it
Is
just
it
depends on what they mean, right?
depends? I'm saying they're using cat in the normal usage. That's so obviously implicit in the conversation.
No, okay,
Doesn't
normal usage is a biological kind of usage, right? Where like you're a furry creature, blah 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 blah.
okay, great. Okay, great. Right. And okay, great. Now, uh simple point. Okay, now let's stick to your Professor McDonough, whatever. I'm not gonna use that, I'm just gonna use a simple the way you phrased it.
Well,
Okay.
that's the cat example.
Well, I'm not getting because you brought up their own personality, so I'm not gonna bring that up. Okay, look, just normal human being, okay? Normal human being. Okay. He's walking, he's walking, he's walking. Okay, he says, I'm a human being. And then he becomes a cat. Oh, I used the word
Like
he, right?
McDonagall.
Maybe the cat, maybe the cat's a female. Oh, whatever. He's a cat. Okay, he becomes a cat. He says, "Oh no, I'm in the wrong body." Well, does that prove that the concept of cat has some kind of social, non-biological notion to it?
Well, there's obviously to our common usage of cat. Yes, it includes all the biological stuff, but it does include. There are things there, feline behaviors that are included in that, right? And they could just be expressing that, like purring. But I can't purr, but I don't know.
What?
Like when I mean, the people say, when
I don't
they're
know. So I'm
acting.
just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure this out. You actually think that I don't agree with that cat case too, actually. So if you actually okay, this is gonna go nowhere if you actually believe this about cat. Okay. Um yeah, I don't know. You
Well,
just have a
why don't you want to do? Okay, so I want to know how again. Do you analyze the Professor McGonagall thing in the same way the Jack Black thing? Do you analyze it the same way? Because when McGonagall is in cat form, and let's say she communicated the idea that she's a human, even though she turned into a cat, right? Like, is that you just see it the same the way that the Jack Black case is? Like
yeah,
that
of
there's a
course.
history there and blah blah blah.
Wait, I think that's exactly what's going with it. Of course. What sense is she a human? It's her mind,
Well,
right?
that she might think that there's certain norms about what people with a what organisms with a particular genetic makeup of the Homo sapien makeup do, and you might think that what they're expressing is that those sorts of norms, behaviors, performances are relevant to them, and that they want to be perceived and as being part of that category. I don't know, something like that,
They want to be perceived. That's the thing. They want to be perceived. So I'm lost.
or treated rather. Sorry, treated that way.
Treated. I mean, they might be. I mean, they might want to be treated that way. There's no doubt about that. Okay, I don't know. I mean, that's a different question. I mean, I don't know what that has to do with the concept of it. Okay, but because that's circular. Um, no doubt they want to be maybe probably be treated that way. Look, if the McDonald whatever they say I'm a cat or I'm a human in their cat. Are they a human on your view?
Sorry, I read a text message, and I have to
Okay,
go. My grandma.
just
I'm
answer this
sorry. I
question and
really
you can go. I want
yeah.
to
I
know.
answered this question. Uh huh.
Okay, McDonough who says I am a human, and they're
Yeah. While she's
yeah, while she's in feline form, whatever. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a non-question begging way. Is she correct?
yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, but
There's a sense in which you would be right, correct. I answered the question. I have to
obviously,
go.
okay, yeah,
My
the sense in which she's right, I already explained, is the stupid mental shit, right? She has like the
okay.
mind of a human,
Okay.
roughly.
It depends on what she's trying to communicate. But I really got to go. My grandmother-in-law. I guess no, my grandmother. I don't know
Yeah,
what they call.
grandmother-in-law, yeah.
Made food. I have to go. All right.
Ni hao.
Ni hao. Oh, you want to say ni hao? Ni hao.
Yeah,
Oh, I
exactly.
thought she would respond. She's old.
Victory for God Almighty. Victory.
Quick, that's crazy. He said, I have to go, my grandma. He said, to answer this question, then you can go. Girl.
Look. He stole the argument.